Gotta love that sound, man. You gotta love that sound. What's going on, everybody? We are back, JV Wins, Dogon SS, with another edition of the Conscious Approach live stream channel on YouTube. Appreciate everybody out there who has been joining us along for the ride. Before we get things kicked off, as always, want to say go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video as we continue to kick out that logical content. Also, we are now available wherever you can get your podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Amazon Podcasts. If you fancy that particular place to get your podcast, we are just trying to be available in as many places and on as many channels as possible. So whether you want to get your video fix or audio fix, we just want to be around. If you are so inclined to check out what we like to do over here. If you're new, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to do that. This is kind of how we like to kick it each and every video upload each and every week. So strap in. We appreciate you being here. The progress that we've made thus far, we couldn't have done it without all the people who have valued the kind of content and commentary that we bring to this wild, crazy world that we now live in. Now, with that out of the way, we are going to go ahead and get right into it because the first topic, man, very, very interested to talk about this and hear what Dogon, as well as the rest of the community, has to say. Last 24 hours have been pretty crazy in the sports media world. I'm going to just break it down as fast as possible because there's a lot of layers to this. So there is a former hairstylist who worked for Fox Sports who has filed a lawsuit against Fox Corporation on the grounds of sexual assault or sexual harassment, rather, not assault, but sexual harassment. And in the lawsuit, there's a lot of things that are being alleged. The main people who are being called out in this lawsuit are Joy Taylor, staple on Fox Sports, Emmanuel Acho, Skip Bayless, as well as a Fox Sports executive, a guy who goes by the name Dixon. His last name is Dixon. What's his full name? What is this guy's name?
Forget.
Something Dixon. Charlie Dixon. That's his name. Charlie Dixon. Charlie Dixon, who's a high-ranking executive at Fox. These individuals are all being named in the lawsuit. I want to get right into talking about this, so I don't want to belabor the introduction. But to try to make a long story short, the hairstylist is alleging that Joy Taylor was engaged in sexual relationships with both Emmanuel Acho and the Fox Sports executive in an effort to advance her career. Furthermore, the hairstylist alleges that Skip Bayless at one point inappropriately offered up sort of like a sex for money type situation. And when the hairstylist confided in Joy Taylor about the fact that Skip Bayless did this, the hairstylist alleges that Joy Taylor told her to get over it because this is kind of what happens. She also suggests that Joy Taylor said that once she has acquired enough power, once Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would use the sexual relationship to her advantage by going to HR and saying that he forced himself on her. Oh. So there's a lot going on with this. It's real spicy, juicy tea type stuff. And then Acho was a part of this because apparently Joy and Acho were also getting it in at some point, and that was also being used as a leverage play to get Joy Taylor promotions and have her be elevated to get onto different shows at Fox whenever she saw fit or saw an opportunity to get ahead at Fox. So I'm going to get right into the article because the article kind of summarizes all of this. I'm going to try and read through this as quickly as possible because there's a lot going on. So this says Fox Sports' Joy Taylor slept with ex-NFL star Emmanuel Acho and network exec to advance career, suit claims. FS1 host Joy Taylor used sexual relationships with ex-NFL star co-host Emmanuel Acho and network executive Charlie Dixon to further her career, according to the bombshell lawsuit facing a number of sports media's biggest names. What's more, the glamorous 37-year-old broadcaster allegedly schemed to protect her job at the network by fabricating a sexual misconduct allegation against Dixon, a Fox Sports executive vice president in charge of talent. Once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to Taylor, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her, reads a portion of the lawsuit filed Friday in Los Angeles Superior Court on behalf of ex-FS1 stylist Noushin Faraji. Taylor, Dixon, former FS1 host Skip Bayless, and the Fox Corporation are named in Faraji's lawsuit, much of which focuses on allegations of sexual harassment, sexual battery, negligent supervision, retaliation, and other hostile workplace issues between 2012 and August of 2024. Bayless is accused of offering $1.5 million to Faraji for sex, while Dixon is accused of groping the stylist's buttocks. Taylor herself is accused of dismissing Faraji's complaints about sexual harassment against Bayless and Dixon, telling the hairstylist to get over it. But in addition to those allegations are Faraji's claims that Taylor leveraged sex to advance her career, first with Dixon and then with Acho, the retired NFL linebacker and Taylor's co-host on FS1 Speak. With Dixon, Faraji began to suspect that he and Taylor were having an affair in 2016, despite both being married at the time. In approximately May 2016, Ms. Taylor asked Ms. Faraji to meet for a drink in Santa Monica, read the lawsuit obtained by DailyMail.com. When Ms. Faraji arrived, she found Ms. Taylor with an older man, Fox Sports Executive Vice President of Content, Mr. Dixon. As executive vice president, Mr. Dixon is responsible for overseeing all content and production on FS1. Ms. Faraji, however, did not know Mr. Dixon. From their body language, Ms. Faraji suspected that the pair were sleeping with each other, and although this concerned Ms. Faraji, as she knew Ms. Taylor was recently married, Ms. Faraji kept her opinions to herself. Taylor was just a fill-in host at the time, but was later added to the network in a full-time role. And according to Faraji, that decision was made at Dixon's insistence over the objections of Bayless. Mr. Bayless later disclosed to Ms. Faraji that he did not want Ms. Taylor on the show, but Mr. Dixon was adamant that Ms. Taylor should star, the filing reads. At first, Mr. Dixon arranged a dinner between Ms. Bayless and Ms. Taylor where she arrived in provocative clothing and acted in a provocative manner. When that did not change Mr. Bayless's opinion of Ms. Taylor, Mr. Dixon asked him to approve of her as a favor to him. Reluctantly, Mr. Bayless agreed to do so as a favor to his friend. Taylor would soon split with her husband, Richard Giannotti, who is not named in the suit, and according to Faraji, it was because of Taylor's now ex-discovered proof of her infidelity. Around August 2016, Ms. Faraji attended a dinner with Ms. Taylor and her husband and Mr. Dixon and his wife. During the dinner, Ms. Taylor's husband became suspicious that Ms. Taylor and Mr. Dixon were having a sexual relationship. Soon after the dinner, Ms. Taylor's husband found evidence of the inappropriate relationship and divorced Ms. Taylor. Taylor is again accused of using her sexuality to get on a show in 2020 when she sought a spot on Acho's program. Ms. Faraji did not know Mr. Acho, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. According to Faraji, Taylor all but admitted to having sex with Acho and dismissed talk of any jealousy by Dixon. A few months after meeting Mr. Acho at the lunch, Ms. Faraji noticed him in the hallway while at work. Ms. Faraji later asked Ms. Taylor if Mr. Acho also worked at Fox. Ms. Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Acho to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Ms. Faraji became alarmed and warned Ms. Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Acho at the same time. And Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that may become very angry. Ms. Taylor told her not to worry about it. She explained that she was also now powerful. And once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like other women talent. Curiously, Acho has since deleted a social media of himself praising Taylor for her professionalism. Fox has released Fox has released a brief statement, although Taylor, Bayless, and Acho have remained silent on the issue. We take these allegations seriously and will allow the legal process to run its course. Read the statement. We have no further comment at this time. Daily Mail has reached out to Taylor's representatives and her foundation for comment. Attorneys for Bayless, Dixon, and Taylor have not yet been provided to Los Angeles Superior Court. The sister of former Miami Dolphin star Jason Taylor, Joy Taylor, was engaged to former NBA player turned coach Earl Watson, although the pair has since split. And that pretty much wraps up that summation there. So, bro, there's a lot here. There's a lot going on. This is extended over into pop culture, news reporting, mainstream world with entities like People Magazine talking about this. It's all over the place on YouTube and podcast world. If you listen to podcasts or watch YouTube channels with people who do sports media. So there's a lot going on here. Most of it seems to be centered around Joy Taylor, but they do mention the other people. But I feel like the meat of it is with what Joy Taylor is alleged to have had going on with this. So what do you make of this very ugly, nasty, filthy, disgusting situation that is alleged to have happened at Fox from this former hairstylist?
I mean, this is as messy as you can get. This is absolutely. When I first heard this, I was like, Skip trying to procure the box. It's like I can see that, But then, as it went on, and the part that made my eyebrows raise was the Joy Taylor saying that, she was just gonna fake the funk and say that she was forced into this, which is pretty damning. That's a damning thing to put on somebody. And I don't know how she's gonna prove this unless she was basically, recording, wearing a wire or something. But I don't know how she's gonna prove that was Joy's agenda. Because I think also in the lawsuit, it was basically saying that Joy was basically said she's just going to follow through with her plan, as if this was her whole diabolical chess moves.
Right.
That she was going to be doing for this thing. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm surprised when it comes to certain women in these on these sports networks that are there for eye candy, that they were, casting couched to get into that role. So, of course, Dolphin fan here. So, you don't want to see Jason Taylor's sister go out like that. And he was hoping that she just made it off the muscle of her brother, and just her type of pull that way. But it seems as though, according to this hairstylist, that she was displaying other skills to get this position. I don't know if you got any photos of the hairdresser, man, but we saw that picture floating on the thing with Skip and Ernestine.
Yeah.
And you can see why Skip was willing to break the bank to try to get some of that hairstylist. Now, I'm not condoning this by any means, all right? But I can see why, if this is true. He wanted some of that voluptuousness. Now, that was another thing in the lawsuit, too, where she was saying that, Skip said I was voluptuous, but, due to her being foreign, she didn't understand what voluptuous was. And then once she found out what voluptuous was, she was mortified. And I think that's one of these things that these lawyers use. I got a good tickle out of mortified in the Lizzo lawsuit. So I guess being mortified is a thing. So that girl was mortified when she found out that she was called voluptuous by Skip. But all in all, man, I think that this lady here, because some of this stuff was dating back a few years, and she was rocking and rolling until she got fired. And I guess this young lady was building a case the whole time. I guess she felt like she was done wrong enough initially. She said she was reporting some of this to HR. So I guess she was feeling as though like, hey, you know, if and when they pull a plug on me, I'm gonna pull the plug on them. So I think that this was a thought out situation from this hairstylist in a sense where, I guess she's been, plotting this in a way. I don't want to say in a nefarious kind of way, but plotting it in a way where, hey man, y'all are doing me wrong around here. I'm gonna make sure y'all get y'all's, and I'm gonna get mines out of that. So yeah, she as soon as she got fired in like August of last year, I think it said. So yeah, she didn't waste any time. This was a quick turnaround from her losing her job to this, and basically saying it was an unhealthy working environment. So um, I think if she has at least some of this evidence in her favor, I don't know how she's going to prove most of this unless she was doing a little rod situation where she was taking pictures and recording. Then she I don't know how she can prove some of this, but if she can, she's going to get a little bit of bag out of this. So, but yeah, man, Joy Taylor got she's catching a wild rap right now. People scrolling on her Instagram and putting two to two together and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff, man. They just throwing Miss Taylor under the bus. But hey, man, uh, if this is true, man, you can't be too surprised in that industry that some people got on for reasons other than their on screen talent. So what are your thoughts, man, on this whole situation, man? Joy Taylor, Acho, what's that? Ernestine. What are your thoughts, man?
So when this first broke,
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching people on YouTube like Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock, for example, two people who used to be on Fox.
That's right.
And they are making very compelling cases that a lot of this is true.
Mm-hmm.
With like you, I'm going to couch my opinions by saying if this is true,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. But some of these individuals are using their own platforms to
Mm-hmm.
speak on this as if it's
Especially
true.
Marcellus, bro.
Especially Wiley, yeah. Especially Wiley, because Wiley was on Speak for Yourself,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
show that is alleged to have been leveraged by Joy Taylor to be a part of,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow Marcellus Wiley just wasn't on the show anymore, and it became Acho and Joy Taylor
Mm-hmm.
and McCoy. So how these things happen, I don't know, but if you read some of these tea leaves and you put on a tinfoil hat and you connect enough dots, some of it kind of makes sense. Although again, it's alleged if we know it to be true or not. Here's what I will say to kind of make it a galaxy brain discussion.
Mm-hmm.
First, I will say that it makes the ideology behind women empowerment look bad. I think it underscores it because if you follow Joy Taylor enough throughout the years as she's risen the ranks throughout Fox,
Mm-hmm.
she has spared no expense to discuss how hard she's had to work as a woman to get to where she is.
Yeah, I bet.
And she's spared no expense to talk about how difficult women have it in the professional landscape, particularly in male dominated spaces like professional sports. And she's talked often about how women have it hard. Women have to work twice as hard to get to the same level. And, women have to do more work in addition to their merit to be on the same playing field as men in this same space. And she has essentially insinuated that throughout her career, her work ethic and her credentials are the sole reason as to why she's gotten here. And if any of this stuff is true, it completely undermines all of that stuff that she's been talking about all this time. Completely undermines it. And it completely undermines it for other women who may or may not have done the same thing in similar situations, but will also pay lip service to the fact that they've just got it strictly off their hard work and nothing else. Um, this makes a lot of that look bad because I do believe that in this day and age, as our society continues to try to force the idea of gender neutrality, you have these bad faith actors like allegedly Joy Taylor who will speak to the idea that men and women are the same and that men and women should be viewed the same and therefore women can do all the things that men can do, if not better. And if that is a truth, if that is actually a true sentiment, then of course, conventionally, women should not have to leverage themselves in a sexual manner in order to get ahead. Their marriage should be able to get that done for them. And if any of this is alleged to be true, it completely underscores the fact that even in this day and age, despite the lip service that we pay to the idea that men and women are the same, we still relent, nevertheless, to the reality that we are not the same. And I think women in certain positions, in my opinion, will try to double talk and they will try to play up the idea of empowering women while using certain things when convenient for them to their advantage that go back to the old way that things used to be done in order to get what they want. And they'll try to play both sides. So I think that that's an interesting angle that I thought of. And the results of this, the how true they are or not will obviously matter in terms of whether that is an angle that needs to be taken more seriously. But that was the first thing that came to my mind when all this stuff broke. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on with people who are in positions of leverage, utilizing their leverage to get ahead in a lot of ways that completely undermine their public speak when it comes to how their merit and their skills and their accomplishments are the sole reason that they're in the position that they're in. Mm-hmm. The second thing that I thought of is how I think stories like this are going to, as time moves along, they're going to eliminate the fallacy that corruptive tendencies are gender specific. I think as we continue to advance and women get into positions of power and women are at the top of the totem pole and women are running companies and corporations and, you know, some people want women to run the country. As we continue to get to this point where these things are going to continue to become more of a mainstay, I think the world is going to learn that corruptive tendencies are not gender specific and that rather it is power that corrupts and that it's not gender specific. I think for the longest time, we have sort of, not me or you even, but I think the general sentiment has been an acceptance of the idea that an abuse of power and abusing authority is something that is specific unto men. And I've always contended that it's not specific unto men. It's just specific unto humans who have been able to operate with impunity in positions of power for long enough. And I personally believe, in my opinion, that the longer we go with more women retaining positions of power, you're going to start seeing that those corruptive tendencies will affect them as well. We started to see the beginnings of this with people like Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, the Epstein disciple, the one who was actually pulling the strings, and then with other people like that woman who ran that what was the name? The name of the chick who she started like a blood. There was some sort of cutting edge technology.
Oh yeah, I don't know her name, but I know you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah, and it turned out that she was a phony and a fraud. Mm-hmm. But she was using her position of power to get what she wanted and to siphon billions of dollars before it was discovered that she was stealing from people, and she ended up getting convicted and going to prison. So, you know, we see people like this, and the more you see instances like this over time, in my opinion, I think we will come to find that corruptive tendencies, corruption, abuse of power, abusive natures, I believe that that is in. I believe that all of these things are inherent in humans who are able to retain positions of power and leverage with impunity for long enough, and that it is not gender specific. And we will come to understand that it is not solely an aspect of a man's nature to abuse his authority and to abuse his power and to abuse his power in ways to get what he wants or advantageously to be able to sort of get what he needs out of people. So those were kind of the two main takeaways that I took from this initially. As more details continue to unravel and we eventually reach a point of conclusion at some point in the future as to the um, veracity of a lot of these claims. But for right now, a lot of it looks pretty bad. And if you listen to a lot of the content creators who claim to have receipts on this story, um, it's not really looking good for Joy at this time. But I think beyond Joy Taylor, because I think at the end of the day, she'll be good no matter what. I think it really does undermine all of this talk, especially in the sports world, but even beyond, of this notion of gender neutrality and what it means for women to be empowered to be the same as men and do the same things as men, and how we want to break some certain barriers down, but not so long as certain people can continue to take advantage of those leverages, so long, to take advantage of those barriers whenever it's convenient for them. And I think that if any of this is true, that's what Joy was doing, and I think it makes her a hypocrite in the process.
Yeah, hey man, I hear that. And Elizabeth Holmes, that was the name of that fraudster lady.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was her. And
yeah,
yeah, what's your boy Antonio Brown, AB, CTESPN? Yeah, he had threw out a tweet, and he was saying, I guess nobody wanted to F Jamel Hill then, because her name didn't pop up in the damn thing. So AB is getting a good laugh out of this too, and I think more people. I mean, I think this is more of a man thing. I think there's more people over here in the man area where, because we're watching all of this sports stuff, and we're very familiar with Joy. If you've been watching sports stuff for the past, I don't know, half decade or whatever, I mean, she's been all over everything. So we're very familiar with her, and so the guys, for the most part, we're just more or less shocked in the sense that like just the whole thing, like man, she would really go that far. But in the lawsuit, it was basically saying that, hey man, she was throwing shots at her, say, hey man, she was just a bartender and a radio person in Miami. Saying she rose through the ranks like that, and you saying, hey man, she was putting in all this hard work like she claimed and all this other stuff. She probably meant uh when she's listen. There's one thing, and this is no dig. All right, but one thing that I've noticed in the double speak that can go on sometime with these city girls is that they do this plausible deniability thing, and they give you ambiguous talk, which is kind of double meaning. And if she's always talking about the hard work that she put in and all this other stuff, and she really meant that, but she didn't expound on what she meant by all of that hard work. But if there's some pasty Fox exec, that's probably what she was getting at. Like, hey man, it ain't sweet out here, and you gotta do your thing in order to be in the position that she's in. But to be fair, on the flip side of that, there's all kinds of things going on in the hip hop world. There's allegations going on over there where men were being procured by other men, so they can be in these positions. And some of those guys had to really work hard to get in the position that they're in. And so I think this is more of a uniform thing that goes on in these industries where there's a culture of you got to give a little to get a little. And so, and for the people that don't play ball, those are the people that you don't hear about. And for the ones that do, those are the ones that are in your feed and you see all the time. Now, what's the percentage on that? I don't know. but I'm pretty much in a boat where it's the overwhelming majority of people have been either compromised or put in compromised positions in order to be in the position that they are on TV or radio or whatever. So that's the part about this where I wasn't surprised. And again, I thought Joy made it off the umph of her brother. I figured it was some type of, you know, I know it's not the definition of nepotism, but some nepo type of situation where she just eased her way in off that. But if she had to do her thing like this, hey man, it is what it is. But she did go through a couple situations with men that's highly publicized where she divorced. I think what it says, she divorced a husband and then broke up with a fiance.
She was engaged to Earl Watson. You remember Earl Watson? He used to be a
Yeah,
point guard
man.
in the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was engaged to Earl Watson, and they broke off the engagement. So they never got married, but it was publicized when they were engaged and when they were together. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, she's been in these situations where, you know, uh she she was acting like a city girl. You go on her Instagram and she's no different than those model chicks that we talk about and we rail on. We'll talk about Draya Michele later. But yeah, she's no different when she's posing in her pictures and stuff like that. So what's the angle here?
Yeah.
Is this because you made it off of your intellect? Is it because, or you made it off some other kind of brain work? Who knows?
Well, she speaks. That's the thing about it, is she speaks. The double talk is a problem because of the dishonesty and the lying. Alle- allegedly.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
if this is
So
true.
right. So it isn't that she worked her way up in that fashion, if it's true.
Mhm.
It's that she takes every opportunity she can while doing her
To
job
throw it in everybody's face.
to assert that that's not what happened. That she got it out the mud. That she worked her way up from local radio in Miami after going to Barry, and
She went
don't
to
throw
Barry.
don't throw don't throw her brother in her face, because she'll refute that with the quickness.
Yeah,
That she did it all on her own.
that's
That it
true.
was all through her hard work. That she earned this through the merit of her credentials and her work and her education and her achievements.
Hmm.
So that's the hypocrisy potentially that is in play here, is that it entirely underscores the idea that any of that is true if you're just giving up box to get ahead, like a lot of these other women who are doing the very same thing. But you'd never know about it because, as you intimated, they're not on. I agree with you 100% on your general assessment about about how corrupt high level media is.
Hmm.
I feel as though once you get into the high level of any lucrative industry, you're going to see the same thing. So
Hmm.
whether it's music, entertainment, movies, sports, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure they do this in the financial industry, real estate. I'm pretty sure there's a cabal in the real estate
Hey
industry.
man, it used to happen at my Walmart that I worked at.
Right? Yeah. Where no matter where you go, the higher
Mhm.
up that you look, there's a cabal. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure the fitness industry is the same thing. I'm pretty sure if you're trying to work at the flashiest, hottest, most high profile gym and you want to be a trainer, you might have to lick a little boot to get in. So this goes on everywhere. But people who cop to this don't so readily take every opportunity they can to get in front of a camera, suggesting that they didn't cop to this. And the problem with Taylor is that she's taking every opportunity she can to get in front of a camera and say, I didn't cop to this. Meanwhile, she was copping to this.
Mhm.
And so it just completely undermines all of this stuff. And I do firmly believe that nowadays, and that's the fallacy behind the ideal, and this is the last thing that I'll say.
Mhm.
One of the principal fallacies of modern feminism is the idea that proponents of it want to see all aspects of it go away. I don't think
Mhm.
that's true. They just want to see the aspects of it that don't benefit them go away. But
Mhm.
the aspects of it that they do benefit from, they want those things to remain. So you don't actually want complete and utter neutrality. You just want the things that you want. And the things that work to your detriment, those are the things that you want to see go away.
Yes.
Because if it was really about wanting it all to go away, you would be working hard and using your work ethic and education to get to where you need to go, and wouldn't be playing on your looks and your body. And as you and I very well know, even if a woman isn't giving up box, she will certainly take advantage of her looks and her body and her face and her hair and whatever else she needs to take advantage of when convenient, to be able to sort of creep into certain advantageous spots that she'd otherwise have to maybe work a little harder or wait a little longer for. And sure, she can hide behind the idea that she never gave up box, but you're still taking advantage of a lot of the things that you claim to have a problem with when it comes to this male-dominated world that you're constantly victimized by. And I would argue, how much of a victim are you when you can utilize those things to your advantage when convenient? And I think that people like Taylor, if this is true, are playing into that. And I think that's the dangerous part of the entire conversation with respect to the notion that we are trying to create this utopian society where men and women can do the same things and we're all the exact same human. And the truth is, we're not, and we never will be.
Yeah, 100, bro. And for Joy Taylor, I hope she doesn't have bad pH. But it sounds like according to this allegation, she was giving it up to both at the same time. So I hope her pH is balanced. But that unprovoked post that Acho made, basically saying that a black woman made it to the top all on her own. Nobody asked for that, Acho.
Nobody. Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? You look a little crazy yourself over there.
And he deleted it. And of course, let's not read anything into the fact that he deleted it.
Yeah, right. Come on, Acho, clean that up, bro. You know what I'm saying? How long have you been on top, man? You got to know. You got to keep riding this out like Skip. Skip keep posting like nothing happened. He's sitting there talking about everybody else. And you got to follow the. See, Skip been in the game, so he gonna sit here and play dumb. You know what I'm saying? But Ernestine's gonna have some words with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's for damn sure. And for that 1.5, people out there making fun about the 1.5, and I don't think it was a 1.5 for the box on one go around. You know what I'm saying? I think there was like he was putting money down on that.
Yeah, he wanted to put her on retainer.
On retainer, box on retainer. Yeah. So hey, man. So it is what it is with all this stuff, but just to tie it all in, is that yes, if this is true, Joy is just she's just a female person that was that gave up box to get to the top. But like I said, man, there's males out here that give up the booty box to get the positions that they got in, but they ain't gonna say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I just think it's part of the industry. And but Joy, I hope this ain't true, sister. I hope this ain't true.
Yeah. For her sake, I hope it's not true.
That's crazy, especially the part where she said she gonna cap about it, and then throw bro's whole life under the bus. Yeah, that's insane too, man.
That is insane. That does not look good, man. But yeah, I hope either way, like, just because I don't like to see people suffer in general, I hope that it is not true. But it's a 42-page document, and it ain't looking it ain't looking good right now. So we'll see how it all plays out, but it just really makes her look kind of funny in hindsight. All of those years that she spent on these TV shows talking about how she earned her way there in the traditional sense, not in the giving it up sense. So it's curious, man. But she's still on TV. She's still doing the TV show like ain't nothing happened. So I guess that's because there's no criminality being implicated here. It's all civil. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But so far, very explosive situation.
Hey, good luck, Skip. Good luck.
Skip independent, so he's straight. He ain't a Fox employee anymore. So all he's risking right now is his public reputation.
Yeah, and Ernestine gonna send him to the cleaners.
Well, that's true. Yeah. All right. Now, speaking of double talkers, we have Draya Michele, who is trying to use Mariah Carey as an example of people who are hating on her. She is suggesting that her relationship with Jalen Green is viewed by people in a manner of double standard because there's other relationships with age gaps and no one says anything about them, but y'all want to say something about me. So we talked about Draya Michele before on this channel. She recently went viral for posting about Jalen Green's recent contract extension because let me get the
Mhm,
link up here real quick. So
mhm,
yeah, so she recently went viral because she posted on Jalen Green's contract extension, and that had people calling her out for being a predator because she's what is she 39 and Jalen Green is 22.
mhm.
And people are saying, you're gonna post about this dude's contract extension, talking about how we balling, and you preyed on this boy who don't know no better. He 22 and you 39, blah blah blah. So she's been dealing with this internet uh blowback for some time now, where people are commenting on the nature of her relationship with Jalen Green, particularly given the age gap and her baggage. And apparently, Mariah Carey is believed to have something going on with Anderson Paak. And the age gap between Mariah Carey and Anderson Paak is the same, 17 years. And so Draya Michele is like, hey, look, she's older than him by 17 years. Why ain't y'all hating on them the way you hate on us? Double standard, double standard. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So this says Draya Michele's double standard take on Mariah Carey and Anderson Paak's potential romance blows up in her face. Over the last week, the internet has been shipping Mariah Carey and Anderson Paak hard. The two megastars have been sparking romance rumors thanks to some photos of them at dinner together in Aspen, Colorado. Their catch steak link up was light and fun, sort of how first dates are supposed to go. Pack was seen placing his hands on Carrie's back while opening the door for her heading inside. They were also laughing and all smiles throughout the evening. They went on to leave separately, however, but their second date was a bit more intimate, with Pack kissing the R&B singer's hands and her placing her hands on his chest. That meeting took place at a Mediterranean joint called Dumani. Here, they were able to share more alone time, 2 hours of it, in fact. On top of this, Pack was seen potentially buying some Christmas gifts for Carrie and not denying the possibility either. You never know, he told the Shade Room. Still, though, they have yet to confirm that they are an official item. It's been reported that they are recording some music together at her Aspen studio. While this has been a cute story to follow, Draya Michele isn't exactly in the same spirit as everyone else. The reality TV star and her partner, NBA guard Jalen Green, have constantly faced intense backlash for the 17-year age gap in their relationship. She's 39 and he's still only 22. We bring this up because Mariah is 55 and Pack is 38, ironically, a 17-year separation as well. Because of the energy she's been seeing around this potential budding romance, Draya Michele is calling out the double standard. She appears happy for Mariah, writing, "That's that 17-year age gap smile. Go Mimi." However, she couldn't help but add, "which all selective asses" after it. Since making this statement, Draya Michele has been getting absolutely torched for her attempt at see it's the same thing. Drea is doing her best to redirect that smoke elsewhere. LOL, one X user writes, the difference is Drea is dating 20-year-olds for survival because she doesn't want to work for her own. Mariah is richer than the men she dates, and they aren't the same age as her kids, another points out. Unfortunately, Drea is going to have to ignore the noise as best she can going forward. So there is a recap of all of this. And so, there's what Drea had to say there, which all selective asses. So do you buy what Draya Michele is attempting to sell, that there's a double standard in play and that, her situation with Jalen Green is the same as Mariah's situation with Anderson Paak, and people need to keep the same energy?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I more or less agree with that commenter, basically just saying that, all of that stuff about her making more than whoever she dates too. I mean, you could throw that in the mix too, but Anderson Paak's 38, his damn self. And so at that point, you're in grown ass man status. And if you're in the Krugers like that, all right, bro, do your thing. And if you want to, get into a situation like that at the age that you are, I think at that point you're old enough to make that call yourself. And you know what I'm saying, do your thing. Gap be damn. But the situation with Jalen is that, yeah, man, he's 22 now. So I don't know when they started talking, when he was either 21 or 20. But the thing about that was, Drea clearly, it seems as though, and I don't know who pulled the first punch. I don't know if he DM'd her, or I don't know how they want to swing this, but it's still in the situation of, it comes off very predatorish, from the Drea perspective, in the sense that she's just following the Brittany Renner handbook. And there's women out there that have nothing going for themselves, and they just attach themselves to a young dude who, what I'm saying, just like the bus, you know what I'm saying, and get his head all wound up, tangle their little web. And, next thing they know, that these women get pregnant, and now they got, child support and a steady stream of income for the next, 18 years. So it looks as though Drea played that card, and that has nothing to do about whatever Mariah Carey appears to be doing at this point. This is more of a Stella got her groove back kind of situation. She's just trying to knock the dust off that. But Drea, it was more of a predatory play of, I made an investment for the next 18 years so I can get a solid check and a lifestyle that I want to live off of. So it's just a complete difference in how this whole situation came about. So it's not so much the 17 years, it's the circumstances around it. So nice try, Drea, but I don't expect nothing less from you. This this seems to be right in line of your logic. Doesn't reach too many floors up, not too many tiers. And hey, but who am I to talk crap, man? Her plan worked. So I can sit here and poke fun all I want, but she's gonna be crying in her Ferrari. So what are your thoughts, man, on the internet jumping on Draya Michele for trying to say that, hey, y'all, this is a double standard out here. You guys are hopping all on me, but not Mariah Carey. What gives? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I'm with the internet. This woman she just needs to stop talking. She just needs to stop talking and just accept her victory for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she needs to be less concerned with trying to convince everyone else
Exactly
that she had that she scored a victory, and
mm-hmm.
to just live with the fact that in your mind you scored your victory.
Mm-hmm.
You got your next meal ticket, so just ride off into the sunset, because there is a difference. There's a difference between 40 and 20. Like a 40-year-old dating a 20-year-old is different than a 60-year-old dating a 40-year-old.
Exactly.
Like it's not so much the age gap per se, it's the years that we're talking of the people involved.
Yeah.
Because no one bats an eye at some of these age gaps of these other celebrity relationships and these high profile relationships, where it's usually the man is significantly older than the woman, but usually the woman's like over 30 and the guy's like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The chick isn't barely out of high school,
right,
or in their early 20s, and this is a grown-ass man who's in his 40s or 50s. Like, I'm sure it's happened throughout history, but for the most part, it isn't really about the difference in years, but more so the years themselves.
right.
Additionally, it bears also mentioning, and we must also keep this in mind, that she has a child who is Jalen Green's age.
Which is crazy.
Like, let us not fail to mention that. Jalen Green's 22. This woman is her oldest son is 22. Like, they can hang out together. They're in the same cohort. And a woman who is comfortable to extend herself in such a way that she gets into a relationship like that, I believe that it says something about her outlook on life in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the kind of thing that people are harping on. No one cares that you're 17 years older than him. They care about the fact that he's still a child and you're a grown woman. And they care about the fact that you've accumulated all of this baggage in this industry skin and you have a child who's just as old as him. So it just seems weird and just kind of icky. But people in her position, and I think the biggest takeaway from this is we must keep it in mind that just because a person has a platform and just because they have a lot of followers, it doesn't mean they're smart. It doesn't mean that they're intelligent. It doesn't mean that they're intuitive. She says stuff like this, which exposes her lack of intuitiveness and her lack of overall intelligence, in my opinion. She is unable to understand the nuanced difference between her relationship with Jalen Green and Mariah Carey's supposed relationship with Anderson Paak. She, in her mind, truly does look at them both as the same, which shows the elementary grade level mind that she operates with on a daily basis. Therefore, all of her expressed opinions should be ignored by most people who know better. That should be the main thing that people take away from this because there is a difference. And she's just going to have to get over it. Again, you did your thing, you won, you succeeded. This kid is unsuspecting, and you were able to successfully, reel this guy in and just live with that. But stop trying to convince the world that what you're doing is somehow pertaining some level of like normalcy or nobility. People are going to have stuff to say because there's something that's a bit odd about the circumstances that are surrounding your association with this guy. But again, as I said before, and I will say it again, I don't totally fault her entirely. She is giving into her nature, which is to leverage her womanhood to get what she wants out of life. That is her nature, and she's using that to her advantage. I am always going to look at the man and hold the man responsible for decision making. And so I look at Jalen Green and I say everything that happens henceforth is going to be due to your decision making or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And you deserve everything that you get as a result because there was a lot of evidence and case studies and background information right at your fingertips just on your phone. And if you stream TV shows, you could have watched past seasons of Basketball Wives and seen what you could be potentially getting yourself involved in by electing to do this, and you did it anyway. Because that peanut butter skin and that long dark hair and that pretty exotic looking face and that body was just too much for you to say no and go the other way and get into a much more clean situation. And so he and other men in that position have no one to blame but themselves for that matter. And I don't get upset over it, as I said, because they're going to keep doing it anyway. So who am I to judge? But when you unmute to suggest that you're somehow getting the short end of the stick when it comes to a double standard, you should really just keep your mouth shut if you don't understand the nuanced way that people are electing to look at this situation, and they have every right to do so.
And I agree. So because there's going to be more women like this in the future, who go after these young athletes. It's become a thing. So I won't be surprised if there's going to be situations in the future like that. And this. So for her to try to normalize that, like the rest of the world is supposed to be okay with this. I mean, we can sit here and watch it and go, yeah, these athlete guys are dumb for doing this. They should know better. There's enough case studies. Like we can all still feel this way, still feel that it's not normal, and still scrutinize it.
Right.
But for her to just come out to try to normalize it and try to make it a thing, and it's like, no, we're still not going to go for this. So whether Jalen wants to be like that or the next clown athlete wants to be that way,
For real.
let him have it. I don't give a damn, but we're still not going to be okay with it. We still think that in practice that this shouldn't be going on like this. That these guys should be, using more discernment, and these women should have more decorum. But we're living in such a wild world right now where any damn thing goes. Everything's all jumbled up. So, stuff like this going on and starting to become the norm, you can't be surprised at that. But still, it won't be normalized over here. I don't think that was it just feels like, again, she ain't got nothing going on with herself. Just trying to secure a bag. And every time I see them, however I see them, he's an acquisition of hers. This isn't a relationship. She's literally walking around with a bag, a 6'7" bag, and that's how she's treating it. And if he's too dumb to see that, then that's on him. But I don't have to be okay with it. And real quick, just like the whole Travis Hunter situation, hey man, if you like it, bro, I love it, dude. If you want to go ahead and do this when the whole world's warning you, that's fine, dude. You're more than welcome to do that. But in that same situation, that girl is running around treating Travis Hunter like a bag instead of a man. And everybody's sitting here pointing it out. But if he loves that, if he loves that type of treatment, then so be it. Have fun for the next 18 or whatever many years you're going to be paying this girl. When you inevitably, do what you do. So sorry, Drea, we're not normalizing this over here. Just like you say, JV, bro. She needs to just stay quiet, and just go away, and celebrate her victory in silence. But trust and believe, bro. She's gonna come out and say something else, to try to justify what she's doing, but nobody's going for it. So once again, the internet redeeming themselves. We had a couple stories on here as of late where the internet was just going backwards, I felt. But this one, I felt like we're moving in the right direction again. So way to go, internet.
Yeah. And there's also not the added element of, either Anderson Paak or Mariah Carey latching on to the other person for any sort of gain, right? Like Pack is already renowned in his own right for his career. Mariah Carey is, of course, considered by most to be a legend for her career. She's made her money. He makes his money. They're both millionaires, respectively. So there isn't the specter of either one of them getting with the other person because they're looking for a bag or a come up. Whereas with her situation, it is entirely speculated that that's the nature of it. Right. Because what is she doing or has done other than be pretty? Like no one knows because she hasn't. She hasn't. So that's the thing about it. Like you should stop unmuting. If you can't understand nuance in life and the fact that people are going to have their critiques and can't understand or fathom why they'd have those critiques, best to just take your victories as they come and don't unmute because you expose yourself for your lack of intelligence. So maybe that is something that she can figure out for herself. But judging by the way that she likes to unmute on her various apps, she's not going to figure that out.
And the Anderson Paak and Mariah Carey thing is the angle that could be seen as that they're doing it for a bag is that they're doing a song together. So, publicity is, any publicity is good publicity. So, hell, I ain't hear Anderson Paak's name in a long time. And the only time I hear about Mariah Carey is when she's doing a Christmas celebration or when Nick Cannon name comes.
Right.
So, for them to be spinning this out there for the tabloids to eat up, yeah, man, people are going to be tuning in for their song. But that's what this is. This is a business situation in that regard. This isn't one person leeching off the other,
right?
And so this is a mutual bag they'll be getting out of this. But you, Miss Michelle, we see exactly what you're doing, and it's nothing close to what Mariah just did. So back off, lady. Back off.
It may, you make a good observation too. It may be the way things are done, but that doesn't mean that people have to like it. Right. So like, this might be what things are. And I've relented. I'll stop complaining. Travis Hunter, bro, good luck. Jalen Green, good luck. All the rest of you guys out here who are doing this stuff, making these unwise decisions when it comes to the women that you associate with, good luck. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have my critiques or that I have to like it.
Exactly.
And that also doesn't mean that I don't recognize the nuance that separates your situation from another and makes it not a double standard, despite your best efforts to make people believe that there is a double standard.
100%.
Good luck, Jalen Green, bro. You're going to need it.
Seriously.
You are going to need every bit of that contract money, sir.
Yeah, for the next 17 years and beyond.
And beyond. All right, and now on to some positive news. Lupe Fiasco is going to be a professor at the Johns Hopkins Peabody Institute. They have curated a hip hop degree program, and Lupe Fiasco is going to be a visiting professor for this program. I thought that this was pretty cool news that I'd like to share here. This is in line with our ongoing theme where we try to spotlight instances of the right type of applications to, in my mind, bridge economic divides, wealth divides, and things of that nature. I think that this potentially represents another instance of that. So we've talked about people like Jalen Brown in this regard, where he's kind of doing practical things that make sense, and so I think this is something that's potentially headed in that direction. So this says Lupe Fiasco is heading to Johns Hopkins University's Peabody Institute as a professor. Lupe Fiasco is stepping into academia to share his insights on rap. The artist, born Wasalu Muhammad Jaku, or is it Jacko, announced on Instagram that he will join Johns Hopkins University's Peabody Institute this fall as a professor for its 4-year hip hop degree program. The program is led by hip hop producer Wendell Patrick, who serves as an associate professor of music engineering and technology at the Peabody Conservatory. Thrilled to share that I'll be joining the faculty at the prestigious Johns Hopkins University's Peabody Institute in fall 2025 as a distinguished visiting professor, Lupe Fiasco wrote on Instagram. The rapper behind The Show Goes On later added, the Peabody Institute is one of the oldest music conservatories in America, world renowned for its rigorous training and for producing some of the world's greatest musicians. And I am honored to contribute to this legacy, doing what I love most, rap. As for what students can expect, the course will include lessons with a private instructor and opportunities to exercise their creativity among classmates. Following the one-on-one studio model of a traditional conservatory education, you will develop your skills in lessons with a private instructor. Turntables majors will study with a world-class turntablist. Rap majors with a chart-topping MC. A description of the program reads, according to Billboard, and you'll get to perform with and for your colleagues in an environment that encourages experimentation and authenticity. For eligible students looking to enroll in the course, the deadline is Friday, January 3rd. As for Lupe Fiasco, his support of students does not stop here. He is also a teacher at MIT and will be leading a spring 2025 course titled Rap Theory and Practice. The course is also open to students enrolled at Harvard, Wesley College, and Massachusetts College of Art and Design. While he is pouring into students, Lupe Fiasco is also making time to do for himself. He revealed he is currently working to complete a fellowship at Yale University. 2025 is clearly off to a great start for the artist turned professor. So, what do you make of Lupe Fiasco teaching as a visiting professor at the Peabody Institute for the hip hop degree program?
Yeah, I feel like this is a good fit for him. I feel like this fits in line with his brand. I guess we can lump him in the category of MC. So I can go ahead and dig that. So yeah, I'm not mad at this at all. I'm actually because as you were going through that, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, hey, well, hip hop is more of a thing where you don't want to sit there and make it a classroom kind of thing. But the more I started to think about it, the more I say, you know what, these guys do need to go to school. These guys need to learn the theory behind what hip hop is. So when piecing together a song, it'll be nice for some of these guys to go to school first. Now, who's going to be qualified to go to John Hopkins or MIT or any of these things? I mean, I don't know. I guess very high end, highbrow type of stuff, but I guess it'll pump out good things. So they said creativity and authenticity. So I hope authenticity is really there. But yeah, I like the idea of people who are interested in being hip hop artists to learn what the craft really is. And I would say, at least from the outside looking in, that Lupe is somebody that uh that honors hip hop the way it does need to be treated. I haven't really heard him go too far off the reservations. And I got to be honest, man, I haven't really heard too much of Lupe's stuff. Honestly, after Lasers, I said I'm not listening anymore. So no shade, Lupe. All right. But what's that? Food and Liquor, man. That thing I played that thing backwards and forward all the time, man. So and some of his mixtapes too, man. That first and 15 stuff he was doing. So overall, I'm happy about this. I think that more people that are qualified need to give back and do these things. Um, so this is a very prestigious institute in a world. I would like to see this also go on at HBCUs. That would be nice. Where there's more diversity going on in the classrooms. But not to say that the Johns Hopkins situation won't happen. But I'd still like to see that go on at our institutions. But I forgot bro's name, the guy that played um Play from Kid and Play. Forgot bro's name. But I know he would dibble and dabble. And when I was at FAMU, now I don't know if it was about hip hop, but I know he dibble and dabble in being a professor and stuff. And I know when I was at FAMU, he came to FAMU and I watched him give like a presentation or whatever. So there's people out there that do both things. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think people like either Most Def or some other people also do like spot classes here or there. So I think it's cool for people that are actual people that uphold hip hop or whatever, get in there and mix up and teach the young up and coming minds what the craft is really about, so they can carry the torch, if you will. So on the surface, not mad at this, man. So I'm happy for Lupe. And yeah, man, I'll give your stuff a listen again, man. I gotta be honest, man. He's never really on the forefront of my mind. It's not intentional, but whenever I see his name pop up or whatever, I go, "Oh yeah, Lupe, man, that's the dog." So I'll give his stuff a listen and see how he's been upholding the genre. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Lupe Fiasco getting into the classroom to actually be a professor? Badass stuff, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. Um, you brought up lasers. So Lupe has gone on record that lasers didn't go the way it was supposed to go. So
Yeah.
like the fact that it's not beyond the pale for you to feel like lasers was underwhelming, because he also doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm,
It spent years and label politics and all kinds of stuff bastardized it, but the
mm-hmm,
final yield was not what he wanted it to be.
mm-hmm,
And he's talked about that publicly. I've always thought very highly of Lupe, but Lupe was also somebody who railed against the music industry. He
mm-hmm,
can't stand it.
mm-hmm.
So the reason why he's kind of drifted off into relative obscurity is because he's unwilling to play the music industry game.
He didn't
So
play
he's
ball.
right. So he's either going to release music, underground style, indie style, or he's not going to do it at all because he's not going to get signed to a label. He's not going to play the label politics. He doesn't like the music industry. Like as a business, he doesn't like the music industry.
Mm-hmm,
Shouts out to him for that. Also, shouts out to Marcus Dudley on the chat as
yeah.
always. He said the new Samurai album is dope, so I didn't even
Okay.
know that it existed.
All right. All right.
Um, Lupe is a guest feature on Ab Soul's latest album.
Oh man.
That's the last time that that's the latest thing that I've heard from Lupe. So skill wise, he still got it. He still got it. You know, it doesn't seem like he's lost a beat because he kills it on the Ab Soul album. But yeah, I do appreciate this, and I hear what you're saying about it kind of seeming initially a little wonky that hip hop be turned into academia. But I think at this point, the only way to combat what popularized rap and hip hop is becoming is to steer it towards the classroom. Because if you don't give it that kind of order and structure, it's going to continue to devolve into degeneracy and a celebration of poor, bad, irresponsible behavior. And again, I'm not totally opposed to the aspect of the music that sort of specializes in glamorizing bad, poor, degenerate, irresponsible behavior. But I think much like the NBA, hip hop and rap music is losing its balance. There needs to be a balance in terms of the representation of the music. And right now it's off balance because the vast majority of it, from a popularized mainstream standpoint, is all about celebrating degeneracy. And if we're not celebrating degeneracy of a violent nature, we're celebrating degeneracy of a sexual nature. And if it's not degeneracy of a sexual nature, it is degeneracy of a substance abuse nature. And if it is not one of those three, it is a combination of all three. And that is, of course, not the way that the balanced form of the music should be. It should be all perspectives. But the mainstream aspect of the music is not celebrating all perspectives. It's solely celebrating degeneracy. So at this point, I feel like the only way to combat that is to put it in the classroom and give it more order and structure so that people can gain that formal education. So from that standpoint, I am a fan of this, and I'm a fan of any other aspects of it that are being taught in a more formal setting. By the way, Play's name is Christopher Martin.
Yes.
Yeah, Christopher Martin. Also, I will say that when you have people like 50 Cent parading around saying that his shows authentically represent Black and Latino communities, again, the only way that you can combat the idea that that sort of content authentically represents entire communities, and that type of content, speaking of 50 Cent's TV shows, is an offshoot of his music. So the only way to combat that is to put people in a more formal setting where they can learn that that might be an aspect of certain points of particular communities, but it does not authentically represent those communities in totality. But if you leave it up to people like 50 Cent, they will spread that gospel, and over time it will become accepted as a universal truth, as more of a unique perspective or a unique opinion. And so if the classroom can help to provide the balance when it comes to that point of the conversation, then I'm not opposed to it. Also, what I will say is, I caught a lot of flack when we discussed D1. I caught a lot of flack in the comments by people who did not appreciate me suggesting that perhaps D1's energy ought to be shifted away from music and need to be put more towards other practical exploits, such as being an educator or being a public speaker, maybe being a writer, author, so on and so forth. And people came at me because they said I should not be trying to insist that D1 move away from music if that's where his heart is. I agree with the essence of that, type of comment. But I also believe that a person should lean into where their energies are best applied. And given where D1 is spiritually, his efforts to impact the most people are perhaps not in music, but are in other areas like being an educator or being a speaker. That is my personal opinion. That doesn't mean that he should completely put music down, But it does mean that, in my opinion, he would be best served by shifting the majority of his energy towards those practical exploits. That being teaching or music, or not music, but writing, speaking, teaching, so on and so forth. So, that is not necessarily to suggest that he should completely diverge from it, but he
Mm,
should lean more into that. And that was my point behind those comments. And I feel as though Lupe is on the same wavelength as D1. Lupe might not necessarily classify himself as a Christian rapper, but in terms of how Lupe sees the direction of the music and where he is juxtaposed to the music industry and what it has become, I'm
mm,
pretty sure the two of them share many things in common. And so what Lupe is probably realizing is, I've already stepped back from the music industry. I already don't release music at a high enough clip compared to what it was like when I first came onto the scene. Where are my energies best applied? Let me be a visiting professor. Hell, if you ask me, he should just go full board and just become a full-time professor. At the very least, maybe he should be adjunct. But this is where I think his energies are best applied in terms of impacting the most lives in the way that he would like to impact lives. Because if he is sticking solely to music, he's going to have to compete with other artists who also share real estate in the brains and the listening ears of people who listen to the music. So while you have a young, impressionable mind out there who might appreciate Lupe from time to time, the real estate of that young person's mind from a music listening standpoint is also being occupied by other artists
mm.
who don't deliver music and content in the same way that Lupe does. So it's all about diversifying your bonds in the most effective ways possible. And in saying that, I think that this is a great idea. I hope it continues. I hope he continues to do it and that it's not a one off. And again, if this is the best, most effective way to combat what mainstream popularized rap and hip hop has become, I have no choice but to support it.
Yeah, man. So I agree with all of that. And shout out to Dudley, man. So didn't know about Samurai. I didn't know about that, but I just found it and added it to my bars playlist. So I'll give that a listen, and I'll do some homework too, man, because I know he done came out with work over the years, and I've been neglecting it. Not even gonna lie. So I'll give it a listen and get bro back in the rotation. Because again, man, food and liquor was when that came out, it came out at a good time for my life. I needed to hear all of that stuff. So and every once in a while, I'll go back and listen to a few songs here or there. So yeah, man, I'll do bro a service and listen to his stuff, man, because I'm sure he's got some stuff to tell me. So yeah, man, because you appreciate people that have a way of conveying reality, in a song where you can get multiple meanings and other things up out of that. So, and Lupe definitely did that for me when I was a younger person, man, when I was in college. So, yeah, man, I'll give bro a listen, and yeah, man, and the people that are attending these courses, man, that they're going to be in for, man, that's a hell of a professor to have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Lupe's great in my bars.
Yeah.
That's insane. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So that's major stuff there, man. And as far as like hip hop being treated as something that could be academia or something like that, I mean, hell, like I always talk about whenever we talk about hip hop, that the art form in itself, when it was created, was intended to be something that could eventually one day be studied. Uh, now that you can honestly, there's a you can do you there can also be a historical study in what hip hop turned into. There's a science behind all of this stuff out here that we deem as trash, because it is trash. It literally is brain rot. But at the same time, there's a reason why it slaps the way it does, and there's a science behind that, and that can also be studied.
Yeah.
uh, because this last thing I'll say is that when Future had I saw a little interview where Future was talking about when he made Tony Montana. You know what I'm saying? He said he was so drugged out of his mind that day when he recorded it, and so he was so doped up that he didn't even say Tony Montana. he was saying like 21 soon. Like he couldn't really enunciate it. But when he heard it, he was like, hey man, this is good stuff. And he took that and ran with it. Now, when we was in college, bro, Tony Montana was going dumb. Uh, I mean, it had everybody going crazy. And for me, somebody that was a hip hop head myself, it was something about that song and other things that Future does with his mumble stuff that I was like, why is this so good? And the thing is, it's kind of like one of those things, one of those I don't know if it's a heuristic or something, but one of those things in the brain where you're trying to make it like by hearing something get mumbled or muffled or cut off, like there's something in your brain that wants to finish it. And so by doing stuff like that, like I know like for certain mixtapes, like certain songs would end abruptly. Like they're still talking in the song and end, or DJ Drama will say whatever he's saying and it's cut off abruptly. It's like stuff like that is like it's fire. You want to keep hearing that again. And so there's ways that, and this is when I was trying to make my music, I was trying to take some of these elements that these people do and put it in my stuff where I'm actually giving a message, but I'm ending the song the same way abruptly, saying something that's a little mumbled and muffled. So you try to complete it in your brain intentionally. The thing that I feel as though that goes on with hip hop artists who are so busy trying to stick to the craft, which is nothing wrong with that, is that these people that are liking this other dumb stuff, they're liking that for a reason. And there's something that you can adopt from that, but still get your message across. So you don't have to necessarily talk about the drugs. You don't necessarily have to talk about the crime. There's auditory things that are going on and neuron kind of things that are happening while you're listening to this that sonically that you can mimic, but still put your message in it. So so just the study of what hip hop turned into can also be a useful type of thing. So but I'm pretty sure whatever he's doing, which is fine, man. I ain't not so just studying the art craft as the art form as it was intended and putting together something with high level things into it. But I would also say that there needs to also be a course out there that studies what mumble rap turned into. Well, what rap turned into. So, but all in all, big time fan. You know what I'm saying, of him as a person. I wouldn't really listen to his music, but because I didn't think he was still active. But now that I know he's still active, yeah, man, I'll give bro a listen.
Yeah, active is a strong word. I wouldn't even say he's
Well,
active.
active enough. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're coming out with something, because Samurai came out last year,
right.
so
Yeah,
that's moderately active. And again, when you're somebody who actually craft your music, it's gonna take you some time.
it is. Yeah,
So I don't, and your boy ruined it for everybody coming out for 7 summers in a row, because he don't want to write anything down. And then yeah, everybody want to blame Steph Curry for ruining the NBA. I blame Jay-Z for ruining what rap turned into because everybody felt like they was obligated to come out every summer.
Well, not only that, but everybody also felt like they were obligated to stop writing too.
Yeah, that all of that.
Yeah, Jay-Z did do that. I will admit that but I mean, he did. That was the effect that he had. But I don't blame him because he was good at stop trying to be somebody you're not. But I feel you though. Like after him, all of a sudden everybody's like, I need to try and drop an album every year, and I need to stop writing everything. So yeah, he did do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Lupe, I've always held his mind in high regard, so I am not surprised one bit to see that he's taken this road. And yeah, I hear what you're saying about the science behind, like the auditory science behind music, because there is something to that. Like, there's a reason why Jeezy had the impact that he had. He wasn't the first person to be rapping about selling cocaine,
right?
But it was from an auditory standpoint, the way that the production and the beats were, that was sort of an observation in the way the body receives sounds and acoustics and how that works. Right. So I hear all of that too. There's definitely an examination on that, but I realized that years ago, which is why, like, I would say after Jay-Z released the Black Album, for me personally, when it comes to the music, I pivoted away from following artists and I sort of transitioned towards
Yeah,
following producers.
yeah,
So
same.
I moved to a point where I would look at a track list and I would look at the production credits. And if it was a producer that I liked, regardless of the artist that was on the song, I would listen to the song. When it for me, it used to be the other way around. I used to
Mhm,
be artist first.
mhm,
So like if it was any of the artists that I liked, it was like, okay, they're on this, let me listen to this song. But as rappers continue to, in my opinion, decline in terms of ability and skill and being interesting, I pivoted and I transitioned more to producers because to me, I felt like the real talent in this particular genre was in engineers and beat makers and producers. And I felt like a lot of producers were elevating a lot of these rappers and making them sound better than they otherwise would. Like I lost count of the amount of rappers who I think are trash, but I can listen to so many of their songs because they were produced by the Runners
mhm.
or by Justice League or the Incredibles back when they were together, or some of these other people. You know what I'm saying? Like T minus and all of these other just these beat makers that were just making fire stuff. It was
Mhm.
just like they're making you sound better than you actually are.
Yep.
So I feel all of that, and that can be an observation too. You know, that can be an aspect of that offshoot of the study of the music from what you were talking about. But
Mhm.
overall, I hear what you're saying, and I just look forward to what can come from this because, like I said before, my main takeaway is if this can serve as a counterbalance to the mainstreaming of the ideology of the music and the content of it, that to me is a win. So we'll
Mhm.
see where it goes, but for now, I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, 100. And yeah, let us know down in the comment section, guys. Who's your favorite producers out there? I got a list. I got a list. And give me some sleepers, man. Everybody loves Timberland, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, give me some sleepers. Some people out there where it's not really that well known, or give me the well knowns. Who knows, man?
Yeah,
But I got a few people that I have in mind, but I don't want to leave nobody out.
right.
So
Yeah,
give me a
yeah.
list. I'll put my list down on these comments too.
Hey, you and me both, bro. I got a laundry list of producers, man. Like I can go on for days on producers. Rappers, not so much, but the producers, absolutely.
Yeah, 100. Shout out to Lupe, man.
Yeah, yeah. Shouts out to Lupe. Next up, we are going to discuss a little internet beef with Cam'ron and Mase and hip hop journalist Elliot Wilson. Elliot Wilson is also a guy who has unmuted to go after Drake. And then after the Drake crazies came for his rack, he decided to bend the knee and try to make peace with Drake. Wasn't a fan of that, bro. You should have just stuck to your guns on that. But what are you going to do when you're dealing with a mob? And Drake
Mhm.
fans at this point have become a mob.
You're a mob.
Uh, but what we have now is a back and forth between Elliot Wilson. Elliot Wilson, he's a longtime hip hop journalist, and he feels some type of way about where hip hop journalism and content creating where it's gone because he looks at himself as like a traditionally trained journalist and he went to school for it and he's been doing it for years and decades. And he doesn't like the fact that you have these people like Cam'ron and Mase who have no journalistic experience, no journalistic credentials or education. They're just kind of coming into the space and making content, and they're encroaching on people like Elliot Wilson's territory, despite the fact that, according to Wilson, they haven't put the work in that he's put in. So Wilson is a part of this old school journalistic mentality where he feels some kind of way about proprietors of new media, and he used Cam'ron and Mase as an example of this. And Cam'ron and Mase didn't like it, and they retorted, and they responded in the only way that they know how. So, so this says Cam'ron and Mase go off on Elliot Wilson amid his criticism of their show. Only 2 days into the new year, and a new beef has emerged between Cam'ron, Mase, and Elliot Wilson. During a recent episode of the new Rory and Mal podcast, the veteran hip hop journalist shared his 2 cents on artists becoming media personalities, specifically the two aforementioned rappers' sports show It Is What It Is. Everybody is media. Cam'ron's running around like he's Stephen A. Smith. It's what we're dealing with, Wilson stated. Why is he a sports journalist? Because he has an opinion. He's got Mase having a good job because the bag is there. This is the stuff I do well, and now everybody wants to do it. I don't like it. After hearing of his criticism, Cam and Mase responded on the show's official Instagram. So I'm gonna skip all of this because we're just gonna play the sound. Mm-hmm. So first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play what Elliot Wilson said, and then I'm gonna play Cam and Mase's response.
So let's do it like this. Let's do it like this for this clip because who knows, right? So let's play the audio but not show the video. I think that'll be pretty clean.
How do I do that?
Just scroll up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, so here we go. So here is Elliot Wilson's take on these new media and Cam'ron and Mase, and he doesn't like it.
This guy.
Cam'ron's running like he's Stephen A. Smith. That's what people be mad at you about when you say shit like that.
Which I think he should lean into. Be the old villain.
OD, that was hate.
Why is this for a journalist? Because he has an opinion? Why? This is the shit I do well, and not everybody want to do it. I don't like that shit. And I'd be a hater.
You don't like it because you don't think they're good at it?
I know I'm better at it. Okay. It's me. It's my life.
Who are you to say I'm better at this than them?
They're not better. Like, that shit cringeworthy. I watch that shit. It's not good.
Yo,
shit ain't popping.
It
ain't popping.
I don't agree.
What's the Cam'ron interview? He was like, yo, Cam'ron really asked the question. What are you talking about? No.
Mo and I aren't journalists. We're still in hip-hop media. You are a hip-hop journalist. What interview did Cam take away from us?
Celebrity has access to different things that I may not have. And again, I feel like they underperform.
We made podcasting popping. Then Rap Radar podcast came, and you took God knows how many interviews from us.
All right, so that was that exchange, and so here's Cam and Mase's response to this.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Brandon Marshall, Kevin Garnett, Matt Barnes, Dan Lebatard, Nick One, First Things First, especially Stephen A. Smith, Gillian Wallow, and Gilbert Arenas. I named them three last because they gave me and Murder some game about this business before we got into the business. The rest of you bitch ass niggas, I'm telling you right now, we here. We here. Y'all can make your motherfucking phone calls. You can think what I'm saying ain't true. I'm telling you now,
we the new source.
We the new source. Murder, Stat, and Killer are the new source. Y'all niggas scared and y'all moving funny. We camera ready. First of all, Murder made the slogan. We do it like we do it for TV.
Yeah.
All y'all analysts and niggas that's pissed off, we gonna make you real mad now because niggas gonna start hitting me with the information. I'm gonna make sure I call my friends up. And shout out to Draymond Green too, because I called Draymond early.
It's Summer League. We're gonna be there every game.
Yeah. Football season, we back 4 days a week, and you know what time it is when it comes to basketball. We on your ass, pause, and if you mad, you're gonna get madder. Fuck you, bitch ass niggas. Next episode of It Is What It Is.
All right. So yeah, they're not having it. They're not having it, man. And apparently, Elliot Wilson, tongue in cheek, tried to squash it, and Cam and Mase wasn't here for it. So well, that's left. We won't, yeah. So yeah, Elliot Wilson tried to say, all right, y'all got it, man. It's all good. And Cam and Mase was like, nah, it ain't over. Cam was like, nah, it ain't over. You ain't gonna try to kill this just because we ain't finna kill it just because you said peace. You wanted the smoke and now you're gonna get it. So what do you make of does Elliot Wilson, are you with Elliot Wilson? You with Cam and Mase on this?
Come on, man. What kind of question is that, man? I'm clearly with Cam and Mase with this. Elliot Wilson, man, this is a guy where he always comes out and talks about things, and I'm always said this about this guy. It's like, who the hell are you? What skin do you have in the game besides, being cool with A&Rs and cool with labels and being that old guard of journalism when it came to reporting what the people needed to hear. And he played that. So he was the guy that was, in political relationships with these labels. And then he would give his takes based upon his relationships. It wasn't really anything authentic about this dude, this Wilson guy. So every time that he was talking about something, I would hear what he would say about this, hear what he say about that. But for the most part, his opinion always, to me, was not valued. Just keeping it in 100. And so I understand his frustration when it comes to, how hard he had to work to get where he had to be, Now, I don't know if he did any Joy Taylor stuff, but the point he had to work hard to get where he had to get. And so he doesn't like the fact that the game right now, first of all, just being out here, the game is oversaturated. But then the game he's in, at least, is being oversaturated in the sense that there's people that were former artists or former athletes or whoever that are out here with the pull, the name recognition and stuff like that to actually get the people's attention. And so he's realizing that his credibility and other things, it doesn't hold as much weight anymore as it once did because of the new forms of media out here. But my thing is if he was always an authentic person, if he was always somebody that the people respected and valued, that yes, even though the game is being oversaturated right now, his voice wouldn't be getting drowned out. And his voice is getting drowned out because he never really had a strong one to begin with. So for Cam and Mase to sit there and windmill and dunk on him, I agree. And when they was shouting out all the people that gave him advice, just showed them ways of the game and just, basically embraced them. Those are people that don't have fear of somebody like Cam and Mase getting to the game. I heard him mention Dan Le Batard. Now, why would Dan Le Batard not be afraid of Cam and Mase? I mean, they're sitting there talking about sports. But, Le Batard's in a situation where he has his brand. He does sports the way he covers it, the way he covers it. And there's no fear. And he's a traditional journalist. But there's no fear. And he's really talking about sports. Elliot does hip hop. And Cam and Mase don't so much talk about hip hop so much. So, if anybody, Dan Le Batard should be out here saltying and, that they're out here doing this and oversaturating his game. But Le Batard is standing on something, and that's a solid business frame, good work, good journalism, and people follow him and they mess with him. And, Le Batard is who he is, and he's authentic in that, and people jive with that. But unlike Elliot, who's just some hip hop guy who just talks and feels as though that I should listen to him. But the only reason why he was getting put in everybody's face is because of his label relationships, his affiliation with these large things like BET and MTV and stuff and VH1. So he'll be on there talking about something as if I give a damn. So those days are over. And so in today's day and age where everything is oversaturated, people are gravitating towards authenticity and just being real. And Elliot never gave that to me. So for Cam and Mase to windmill on him the way he did, I felt like it was hell of appropriate, But and I expect nothing less from Elliot. He always came off as a weirdo hater to me, and so this fit right in pocket. So man. So that's my thoughts on that. But what are your thoughts, man, on Cam and Mase? Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Elliot or do you agree with Cam and Mase?
I mostly agree with Cam and Mase, but I will say that, if I'm being reasonable, I understand what Elliot is feeling, because I get it. Like you've worked your way up through the ranks doing something, and you spent a long time fine-tuning your craft and you went to school and this thing that you've been doing for such a long time is being now practiced by people who didn't put in nearly that kind of amount of traditional legwork, and they're just kind of coming in and being able to occupy real estate. And it's going to make, I think the normal emotion is for a person to feel some type of way about that. But that's no different than what's been going on in sports for forever. Like, you've been having journalists who've been talking about sports on TV, and they've been reporting on sports news and doing interviews with athletes, and they've been talking about this stuff for a long time. And then, you have an ex-athlete who might retire, or now even current players who decide in their spare time that they're just going to hop on TV and talk sports. Mm-hmm. And they don't have nearly as much skin in the game journalistically as someone who might have went to school, but so be it. That's just kind of, there is a valuation that is placed on a person who is in the position of a practitioner of a particular craft. Mm-hmm. Cam'ron and Mase, there's a valuation that is placed on the fact that they used to be actual artists rather than talking about the music. And I think that there's a valuation placed on these ex-athletes who get into TV studios and start talking sports. Like, there's a firsthand knowledge and experience and an intimacy knowledge of the game that journalists, despite all of their education, simply don't have because they didn't play in the NFL or the NBA.
Right.
So, networks and people who are responsible for curating talent for shows and programming, they're going to take those things into account when they're evaluating and scouting concepts for shows and programming. So you just don't have that. Like, it's a tapestry. Mm-hmm. You provide your journalistic expertise, they provide their firsthand experience, and everybody meets in the middle. And to your point, Cam'ron and Mase aren't really encroaching on any of Elliot Wilson's territory because Elliot Wilson talks music and Cam'ron and Mase do sports.
Right.
So I don't even really know what Elliot Wilson's gripe is, other than he's using Cam'ron and Mase as an example of his larger issue with the fact that new media practitioners are infiltrating media when they don't have nearly as much media or journalism training as he does. And to that point, bro, I would just say get over it, because it happens in every industry. Like, you're just going to have to live with that reality. And I'm inclined to believe that if you were more interesting or more compelling, no one would be encroaching on your territory. Agreed. Like, I don't know what show Elliot Wilson hosts. Maybe somebody who's like deeply entrenched in hip hop journalism can tell me, but I don't know what Elliot Wilson, what is he on Hot 97? He's on some New York radio station or something. I don't know what he does.
But that's my thing. I don't even know why they kept showing me this guy, like, as if I should care. Like, who is he? Well, he's a hip hop journalist of what? Like, I don't. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, man. But that's my whole point, man.
Yeah, so it's like, that's my thing about it. It always seems to be marginal people who are complaining, because, like you said, Levitard is occupying the same real estate as Cam'ron and Mase. They're both talking sports, but Levitard isn't threatened by whatever it is Cam'ron and Mase have going on. Stephen A. Smith is occupying the same real estate as Cam'ron and Mase. They both talk sports. Stephen A. Smith ain't threatened by anything Cam'ron and Mase got going on. Stephen A. Smith was even on their show recently.
Exactly.
So they're not, there's no ominous threat or existential threat taking place there. And it's because those guys have their feet in the sand. They occupy their piece of the real estate. They know who they are. They're good at what they're good at, and they do it, and they're not threatened by somebody else, because Cam'ron and Mase are going to provide their own brand of sports commentary in the way that they do it. Chances are likely that if you listen to Cam'ron and Mase and you like the way they do stuff, you probably don't even watch Stephen A. Smith's show, and vice versa. So there might be some cross-pollination because they might collaborate with one another or have a friendly professional relationship, but there isn't like this siphoning of fans and listeners and subscribers from one channel to the next. You know, they both have their own YouTube show. There's probably people who are subscribed to both Cam'ron and Mase and Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
And aside from the cross pollination, there's probably people, like I said, who I'm a Cam'ron and Mase fan, so I'm probably not going to be a Stephen A. Smith fan, and vice versa. People who are going to be a Stephen A. Smith fan who aren't going to be a Cam'ron and Mase fan. At the end of the day, there's always going to be pearl clutchers, but those pearl clutchers are going to be pearl clutchers because they're trying to find a way to reconcile their lack of being interesting. If you were better at your job, more interesting, more compelling, you'd have your same level of real estate occupied too. And there'd be nothing for you to complain about because you have your fans, and Cam'ron and Mase ain't gonna take them away from you. But Elliot Wilson is one of these older guys, and he just feels some type of way about the fact that these new media folks are encroaching on his perceived territory. And my response to that would be, bro, what do you do? Because that directly addresses the issue that he has. Because if I knew what he did, that means he'd be better at it. And if he were better at it, he'd be less threatened by people like Cam and Mase.
Exactly.
It's a full circle type conversation.
Exactly.
So, he can continue to pearl clutch, but I can guarantee him one thing. New media people are here to stay. They're not going anywhere.
Nah.
And you're going to have people who'd rather listen to what's the name of the linebacker who plays for the Cowboys who has a podcast?
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons, yeah. There are people who would rather listen to Micah Parsons than Stephen A. Smith or Dan Le Batard or Cam'ron and Mase, and vice versa. It's because of the position that they have with respect to the valuation of having been involved directly in industry. And if you're a journalist and you don't have that valuation, be good at what it is that you do and get your place in it that way. But if you can't, I guess you'll just be able to complain about it.
And even with the way the world is set up, like people don't watch like stuff at the same time anymore. So it's like all of this stuff has replay value. So you can just watch this later. Like if somebody's watching Stephen A. Smith in the morning or whatever, when Cam and Mase first dropped their video, so it's like, so what? I'll watch Cam and Mase tonight when I'm eating dinner. And so with today, the way that media is on demand and it's available, you can cross-pollinate as a fan.
Yeah.
So somebody can listen to Dan Le Batard, Stephen A. Smith, Cam and Mase, Podcast P, okay, Micah Parsons, all in the same day.
Gilbert Arenas, yeah.
Gilbert Arenas, all in the same day. Just run it back to back to back, because on demand, I have the choice as a listener or viewer to watch this whenever I want. And if I missed the show that aired yesterday, I can watch it today. I mean, there's so many times where there's people that I subscribe to, and they're dropping videos all at the same time about the same type of topics or whatever. And, I got stuff to do. I'm out here doing it. And I was like, I'll get to that later. I missed it later. But the next day, it's like, oh, yeah, that's the video I meant to watch yesterday. I'm going to sit there and watch it. I'm subscribed to these people. If Elliot had value, people would just check in and tune in on whatever the hell he's saying. And then the irony of him talking about these new media people and to be on the new media people's podcast and talking about it. You think Rory and Maul put in the same type of legwork that you put in, kissed as much ass as you did? No. But you're sitting there on that platform, sitting there talking just so you can get yours off. So the hypocrisy in his statement also is just utterly wild. So listen, Mr. Wilson, you need to take your opinions, all right, and go wherever the hell else you be at, you know what I'm saying, and just shove it over there. Because honestly, man, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not really much of a Elliot guy. Every time I see this guy, whether it's on the internet, in an article or something, he's talking about somebody, or I'm watching something that's hip hop centric, and here they go, and he's talking about whatever topic. Like, look, I don't need this, man.
The only time he ever trends for me is when he's complaining about something,
yes,
or when he is waxing poetically about the 80s. That's the only time Elliot Wilson is ever trending, is when he's being an old head or when he's being get off my lawn. So, and I'm not an ageist. Anybody who knows me knows
Oh yeah.
I am firmly opposed to any sort of ageism. I don't think age is contingent on anybody being good or bad at anything. I think it's all about your spirit and how you do what you do. So you can be 50 and still be popping for me. I don't care how old you are.
Mhm.
But the thing about it is, are you good at it and compelling? Are you interesting? Do you have that real estate occupied?
Right.
And I just never hear about him unless it's him unmuting, complaining about Drake or this other person, or talking about how things used to be in the good old days.
Unbelievable. Kid Rock Wilson. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I only hear him. It's like whenever they need somebody to unmute on, early era hip hop, 80s and 90s, and how things used to be back in the day, the heyday of the Source Awards and all of this other stuff. That's when I'll see him hit. I don't actively know what he does, and,
Right.
and I'm not on my feeds all day. I'm not on Instagram and TikTok all day, but I consume enough media on a daily basis that if you do something, I'm going to be aware of what it is.
Exactly.
So if I can honestly say I don't really know what it is that you're doing, that says you're not really compelling in a fashion that makes you occupy that kind of real estate for people, in my opinion.
Hey, I agree, bro. So that's my opinion too. So yeah, he need to get on out of here. And shout out to Cam'ron and Mase once again for the good laughs, man. These guys are hilarious.
Yeah. Like I don't really watch, like I've never watched a single episode of Rory and Mal. I know them from their association with Joe Budden.
Agreed.
Back when they used to do their thing together. So I couldn't tell you how they do their show, what they talk about. I could not. I have no idea what their content is like, but I still know they exist.
Right.
And I still know what they do.
Right.
So I don't even engage with their content, and I know who they are and what they do. So it's just like Elliot Wilson, bro. Like if you're sitting in your home office still writing op-eds for, whatever hip hop magazine is still in circulation,
Sure.
we writing articles for hiphopdx.com, but I just, be better and do better is what I would say. Don't complain about new media if you're really not going to make 100% concerted effort to actually be a part of new media, because there's enough real estate for everybody to occupy.
I agree.
Yeah, shouts out to Cam'ron and Mase, man. Doing their thing as always.
Skr.
And now we have Waka Flocka, who I guess attempted to, I guess he was trying to prove a point here. Waka Flocka wanted to show everybody how they are prone to being subjected to fake news. He did this. So Waka Flocka posted a pic on whatever channel it was, whatever platform it was, where it looks as though he was like beat up. He was in some kind of a physical altercation. His face looks all messed up. And he said that he was in a fight with 10 dudes and nobody helped out. And then he came on not too long after that, basically to say that it was all a ruse. After the internet was reacting to this, he came on to say that it was all fake. It was all makeup and facial prosthetics or any other kind of artificial work. And basically said, look at how I got y'all. This is what happens with fake news. We need to do better about this. So I don't know. I guess Waka Flocka, the prophesier, is trying to prove a point about people's propensity for fake news. But this says Waka Flocka walks back claim he was jumped after social media clowns him. Waka Flocka has walked back his claim that he was jumped by 10 men after sharing a photo of himself beaten and bruised, and is now accusing fans and the media of being gullible and easily falling for fake news. The Atlanta rapper first shared a post to Instagram in now what appears to have been specialty makeup, writing, "Can't believe nobody helped me fight 10 N-words off, but I'm still standing 10 toes marks." I don't know what that means. Social media soon ran rampant with jokes while outlets began reporting on the alleged beatdown. Hours later, he came back with a clean face on his Instagram story and laughed as he told the camera, Crazy y'all N-words believe that stuff. He then took to X and said, internet be so quick to believe stuff without doing any research. Too many people just proved how easy it is to believe fake news. Not a single media outlet that reported on my stuff reached out to me or my team to confirm anything. They ran with the caption as they headline. Imagine a world where facts ain't checked and an IG post can steer a string of hashtag news. Taking a screenshot of his posts and sharing them to Instagram, Waka added in his caption, life can be a movie or a reality, all how you look at it. Remember, do your research, confirm your facts. Most importantly, don't let them manipulate, because I just showed y'all how easy it is to create a fake narrative out of a picture. Hashtag flock facts. No one uses that hashtag. Fans in the comments weren't having it though. N-word, you posted it yourself, one person said. Someone else wrote, but you posted it. There was nothing to fact check if the source posted it. Another person commented, at the end of the day, what was the point? Even Uncle Murder chimed in asking Waka Flocka, why are you trolling, my ninja? So there's the post right there with what Waka initially said. He got jumped by 10 people, right? And so then he came back later. So there's another pic. And then here's what here were some of the reactions. Should have called Cam Newton. All that jumping Brick Squad was doing in the early 2000s. This how I came out of 2024. Damn, my boy ain't have Trump number. So those were all of the reactions to, well, some of the reactions to what he did. And then here was his coming clean on it being fake. And it ain't very long.
Crazy y'all nigga believe that shit.
Yeah, so that's it. So, Waka Flocka, I guess he was trying to righteously prove a point about how we all believe fake news and we don't do any research. Does Waka have a leg to stand on here?
I don't see much. I really don't see much of a leg here. And just a few weeks ago, man, we covered a Waka Flocka thing, and here I go giving this man praise for his stance on life and being 10 toes marks. and here he go. Going through a whole 2-3 hours worth of makeup just to post a picture to lie about it. But then just so he can teach me a lesson as somebody that's concerned that I didn't check my sources, or how easily I can be fooled by something on the internet. Like, what's the point of that? So to me, this was pretty lame, man. I saw people in some comment sections, man, calling them Waka Flocka lame. And why would you put this on yourself? One of those commenters, in the article mentions that, oh, you didn't have, damn, my boy, you didn't have Trump's number. And because when I looked into this, I was like, whoa, Flocka got jumped. What's going on here? And so, I Googled it, and I saw that he was going to be at some type of conservatives rally or something like that. And I don't know if he was supposed to be performing or he was supposed to be involved in that. And I assumed at the once I heard he got jumped, that it had something to do about him supporting Trump. But Southside, from 808 Mafia, he came out and he was like, hey man, you need to stop with the caps. And ain't no 10 N-words jump you. So I was like, hey, well, what's going on here? So did he get jumped or not? So then he came out trying to gaslight the internet. Basically, I don't know what this was. I don't know if this was a publicity stunt for his conservatives rally, or his air quote lesson of fake news had something to do with his conservatives rally thing. But in any event, this was weird. This was very unnecessary. And I agree with, who was it? You said Uncle Murder said stop trolling.
Yeah.
Like, you stop trolling, bro. That ain't it. That's not the way to get your point across. People listen to you anyway. If you wanted to get a point across, people listen to you. And so I don't listen to Waka Flocka's music. I only listen to Hard in the Paint and, one other song. But I never really cared for Waka's music. I just thought he was a solid dude. This is very not solid. This is not solid. Like, there's another way to get your message across if that's what his intent was. But to me, it felt like he was trying to garner sympathy for something else. And once it got exposed and people was out there saying, hey, man, this ain't happened or whatever, then he had to come clean. So again, man, this is just weird stuff. I didn't put Waka in the weird category, but now I am because this is weird behavior. And he's going to have to do a hell of a lot to get back on the side of, oh, yeah, he's a solid dude, but I'm always remember this. So, I just think this was weird stuff, man. I'm lumping him in the boat of these celebrity dudes just doing weird things just for clout and other stuff. So, man, shame on you, Waka. This ain't it. Whatever you try to pull off, this ain't the play. But what are your thoughts, man, on Waka trying to teach the internet a lesson, saying that you guys need to check your sources and you can be easily fooled by fake news? What are your thoughts, man? Hashtag Wakas.
No one uses that hashtag. His overall point is correct. People are very susceptible to fake news because we are a post-truth society. No one really believes in truth. Doesn't really mean anything anymore. It means what we want it to believe. If you believe something to be the truth, no one can sway you off that, even if it's with facts and data, because you can just come back and say your facts and data are lies. I mentioned that before. We are 100% a post-truth society nowadays, where the notion of truth has become obscured in ambiguity. Truth as a concept kind of doesn't exist anymore, because if you want to believe something, you can squint hard enough and connect enough dots and make it your truth. And if I come to you and I say, hey man, 2 + 2 = 4, you'll just tell me that they've been teaching me a lie in terms of the way that I count math. So his overall, and the reason why I bring that up is because if there is a piece of fake news that allows you to continue to sort of be dug in the sand on whatever it is that you want to believe in, whatever your truth is, you're going to cling to that, and everything else is going to be a lie. So in that regard, people in general are susceptible to fake news. And because we are a post-truth society, people would prefer to shun research because doing research opens the door for your truth to be incorrect. And people don't want to be confronted with the idea that their truth is incorrect. They want to continue to believe whatever it is that they want to believe. We see it right now going on with the Jay-Z stuff. If you are an individual, and I know people personally who are like this, they believe that by default, if you are a successful celebrity, you're guilty of everything, regardless of whatever evidence. And I'm not trying to say that he is or is not guilty. I'm just using this as an example. There are people who believe that if you are a successful celebrity, these allegations like the ones Jay-Z are dealing with are 100% unequivocally true. And they are going to be dug in on that post-truth, even if there is no evidence to the contrary, or even if there is facts and evidence which suggest that it might not necessarily be true. You're going to just say, well, they're making that up and those are lies, because you want to continue to believe that that stuff is true, because you are biased in your belief that if it's a successful celebrity, they're automatically guilty of doing these things. So he's right in that regard. People are going to believe what they want. And in saying that, we are 100% more susceptible to fake news. Here is where he misses me. You can't create the fake news.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. You can't do that.
And then call people out for believing fake news. You can't do that. That is a foul, sir. Yeah. So right away, you 100% lose credibility. You can't create the fake news. One thing about Trump, when Trump was going on his tirades talking about fake news, he was defending himself against against news claims that he didn't like, calling it fake news, but he wasn't creating that stuff.
Right.
He wasn't creating it. The media was, and he was responding to it. You cannot create the fake news, and then when people respond to it, say, "Look, I got y'all. Y'all believe fake news." Well, you're the source, sir. You created it. As the commenter said there, you're the source, you dumbass. But here's what I will say. Here's the funniest thing here's the craziest thing that I'll say about Waka. This is just my opinion.
Go ahead, man.
Just like I said, Draya Michele is not a smart person. Waka Flocka is probably not that smart. And he probably doesn't realize that he undermines what he was doing by creating the fake news in the first place. He probably doesn't understand that doing that completely underscores what he was trying to say. And maybe he's not smart enough to get that fact. But Waka, you can't create the fake news and then call people out for fake news. You created it. You're the source. That's not something you can do. It makes you look silly. And I have to, at the end of the day, because he did that, I have to now look at him as a person who engages in attention-seeking behavior.
And I didn't do that before.
Yeah, I didn't either. But now I'm looking at you, bro, and I'm saying, bro, you do the same new human weirdo social media stuff that these Instagram models and these, streetwalkers and these thoughts and these OnlyFans chicks do. You engage in attention-seeking behavior. Yeah, your name hasn't been in the algorithm for very long, but you do have a following. So you need to put something on the internet so that you can get your name trending again.
It's crazy.
For no real constructive reason. You just want to do it to get attention.
That's crazy.
Which is a very beta emotion.
It is.
And I never associated him with this up until now.
Right.
So congratulations, bro. You achieved something. I just don't think it was what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, just go back a couple weeks ago, man. I'm sitting here, bigging the man up and giving him credit for not being a weirdo. And here he goes, just a couple weeks later. And so, yeah, man. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know what he tried to make fly. I don't know if he tried to make the fact that he got jumped fly. And then he had to double back once people was already like either clowning him for getting jumped or calling him out for saying that it didn't happen. Because if Southside came out and said that, because he did, and Southside comes out and says, "Hey, bro, you need to stop that because ain't nobody jump you." Southside is a very credible source.
Right.
And so now people are going to be questioning that and digging into this and then find out you're a liar. So then he had to come out with a gaslighting thing saying that it's fake news and y'all were going for anything. It's like, all of this is weird. Why did you do that? Who told you to do that? You came up with this yourself? If he came up with this with himself, he's weird for that. If somebody told him to do this and he did it, he's weird for that.
Yeah.
So there's no other way to slice this thing besides the fact that this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, Waka, man. Damn, bro. One of the few people out here that I'm like, hey, man, that dude's solid, man. Yeah, leave him alone, man. He's solid. But now you just all the little people that I feel like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? That person's solid, man. Leave that person alone. He's not like the rest of them. He just acted like the rest of them. I can't give a pass on this. So, hey, man, sorry, bro. This was weird. I'm gonna look at you different now, bro. Just what it is, dog.
Hey, man, attention is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
Attention. Attention is attention seeking in like the DSM-5 or any of those. It is.
It's gonna be one of these days.
It needs to be, because it isn't full blown narcissism, but it's a form of it.
It is.
It needs to be further classified because, man. People just can't help themselves. They're just attention seekers in the worst way. And this to me reeks of attention-seeking behavior. Like the only way that this would have been plausible to me is if, like, so let's say, for example, he was doing this because whoever did that makeup job, maybe he's trying to put that person on, like, hey, this person does great makeup work, so on and so forth. Check out this person's makeup work. She can make you look like you got whooped by 10 dudes. That's the quality of their makeup.
I would have went for that more than the fake news thing.
So would I have. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing it because you want to put somebody on as a favor, like, check out this makeup artist, they do great work. Okay, fine. But you orchestrated a whole stunt and made it about fake news randomly, as if fake news was even something that was being talked about at the current moment in time. And even if he was hypothetically trying to, like, put on like a makeup artist, you don't have to orchestrate the stunt. You can just put it on and be like, yo, look at this work. Look how good it is. But he made it about that because he was trying to get the attention.
Unreal.
And I can't go for that, man. I really can't. Bro, Jeezy said it for real, man. All the real ones either dead or in jail. It looks like we are losing them by the day, bro.
Man,
it's too bad. Because, yeah, I was with you. I was bigging up Waka Flocka because he seemed to be anti-reality TV, anti-messiness. And this, I won't necessarily say that this is messy per se, but it is attention-seeking behavior, unbecoming of a person that I thought was of his stature.
That was 10 toes marks.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, it is what it is with this guy, man. Hey, man, get well, Walker. I don't know what got into you, bro, but get well, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. And shouts out to everybody out there who doesn't fall prey to fake news.
Even if it comes from the source itself. Lord.
All right, last but not least, we are going to get into the drama surrounding the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, both of us are repping the Miami Heat in our backgrounds, and it's not looking good. Jimmy Butler has been suspended by the Miami Heat for 7 games. He has thus far served 1 of those 7 games, but I don't know how you come back from that. If I had to guess, I think the organization is just going to send him home until they make a trade. And there's been a lot of commentary around who's at fault, who's most responsible, and a lot of people are taking up for Jimmy, saying that Pat screwed this whole thing up. Paul Pierce said this is Pat Riley's fault. Pat Riley is ruining Heat culture. Pat Riley ran Dwayne Wade and LeBron out of town. And now Gilbert Arenas is unmuting, also saying Pat Riley is screwing this up. Even going so far as to say that Pat Riley is, you have South Beach to your advantage, but you use South Beach like a prison. So let's get into what Gilbert Arenas had to say. So this says former All-Star blast Pat Riley for running Miami Heat like a prison. Miami Heat president Pat Riley has earned considerable criticism for his recent handling of the Jimmy Butler trade saga. Few have unleashed on Riley the way former All-Star Gilbert Arenas recently did. Arenas ripped Riley on the January 6th episode of Gil's Arena, blasting the Hall of Famer for potentially pushing Butler out of Miami. The Heat suspended Butler last week for conduct detrimental to the team 1 day after he requested a trade. During his three decades in Miami, Riley has added multiple superstars, including Butler, Shaquille O'Neal, and LeBron James. Arenas doesn't expect many other All-Stars to willingly join the Heat anytime soon. So let's get to what Gilbert Arenas had to say here. So first, I'm gonna mute this so that I can get it full screen. I don't think Gil does copyright. I don't think.
Oh man, fair use, Gil. Come on, bro. Damn.
I think Gil still allows. Well, I don't know for a fact, but if not, I'll just go ahead and edit out the clip in post.
It's all good.
So here is what Gil had to say about Pat Riley and the way he runs the Miami Heat. in relation to Jimmy Butler.
Fair use. Nick Young. Oh, come on, X.
Dude, don't
Get with it
now. All right, let me back out and refresh this damn thing.
Yeah, one thing about Gil, he has really done a good job at making news.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot Wilson, I'm pretty sure hates Gilbert Arenas. All right, here is Gil and what he had to say about Pat Riley running the Heat.
We are Showtime. You're nobody. He was right. Yeah. He moved to the Knicks. He ain't doing nothing. He moved to Miami, right? He got Shaq. I mean, he got Dwayne Wade. He came and got Shaquille O'Neal. Then they brung a whole bunch of other players to help win. You can't pretend you that guy. It's them. Listen, you're not bigger than them. Yeah. You're pretending you are. They left. LeBron came. They won a championship. You can't pretend you're bigger than LeBron. LeBron leave, this shit crashes. Jimmy Butler comes. He gets you to the championship. If he tells you, bring me one more star, motherfucker, bring him one more star. Because if he can get you to the championship with this, bring me one more star, I got you. So for you to pretend that you are the Heat culture and you can do this, you're lying. Yeah. Because when he leaves, motherfucker, nobody's coming there. Nobody's coming to. You got South Beach in your favor. Yes. And you treat South Beach like it's a fucking prison.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the article goes on to say, calling those comments harsh is like saying LeBron James is a future Hall of Famer. Gilbert Arenas condemned Riley for believing he's bigger than his players. Riley also called the ongoing drama a distraction in a December 26th statement announcing the Heat won't trade Butler. It's never a good sign when coaches or executives invoke the dreaded D word. Then again, distraction isn't as bad a word as prison in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, man? It looks like people in the media, particularly ex-athletes, are team Jimmy here and not team Pat. What do you think about that?
Not surprised that the players are, ex-players are taking this angle on this. The first game of the suspension, the guys just did not show. I don't know what was going on, so I don't know if players on the team also felt that way. But, and even as Heat fans, I'll speak for myself. I was critical of some of the moves or lack thereof that Pat Riley has done over the past decade. He has a very interesting way of acquiring talent. And it's very traditional, and in the sense that it's either strictly through draft or undrafted free agents, and he doesn't really do too much off-season splash play. He really doesn't do too much trading either. If he does trade, it's very minimal, very uneventful, and just moving pieces around predominantly for salary. He's also made some questionable, re-signings of players, giving people exorbitant amounts that I don't feel as though deserved it. So he has made some questionable plays as GM. I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't. Just in the past two off seasons in particular, I agree with Gil in the sense that we're sitting there messing around getting to the finals with a roster that no other team could do that. So if Heat culture is so good, to take a mediocre team, a team that just barely qualified for the play-in game, to go all the way to the NBA Finals, why not bring in one more player to push you guys over the hump to actually win the damn thing? So I agree with that. But the part about this that I think is a bit of a reach is the running it like a prison. I feel as though Pat does represent an old guard in the NBA, hell, just in sports in general, but particularly in the NBA where, the players don't run this organization. The organization runs the organization. But everybody knows that Pat Riley is the Don. He is the mafia leader of the Miami Heat. And whatever he says goes. And he does run it with an iron fist. And he has a way of viewing reality that other people don't view it. And I don't want to say he's a egocentric person like other people would like to throw out there. I think he really thinks that there's a particular way things need to get done, and it's very rigid. And if it's not like that, he don't want it at all. And so for him, for Pat to put his foot down and not allow Jimmy to tell him what to do, I'm 100% for that. If things were the way that Jimmy Butler and other players want it to be, the Heat would be no different than any other organization out there where the players are running it, demanding trades, demanding super teams, and getting rosters flipped for no reason. Look at the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns just benched Bradley Beal.
Also, let me interject one because you forgot one thing.
What's that?
Also firing coaches all the time.
Firing coaches all the time. Thank you. Yes. Because Spo's been there for over a decade, but Spo, people would argue that he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. But that's because there's a system in place where talent is being developed, and Spoelstra was developed. So I don't have a problem with his rigid way of doing things per se. I think that it's needed more in the NBA in particular. And then so when the players are actually running the team, then you get situations like the Phoenix Suns where they're just stacking everything on top of each other because they think it looks good on paper. But in practicality, it makes no sense. Same thing happened with the Brooklyn Nets. Same thing going on with the Clippers. I mean, you can point from example to example in the NBA where the players are choosing to go where they want to go, telling the organization how much they want to get paid, telling the organizations how much they want to play. And at that point, for whatever reason, the organizations are bending the knee. And now these organizations are getting run into the ground. So as long as Pat Riley's around, the Heat, whether the roster looks good or not on paper, is going to be competitive because of the nature and how things are being run. So Pat Riley is indeed Heat culture if you want to go that way, Gil. But I don't think it's a prison. It may be a prison to people who want to do anything they want and have no responsibilities like the rest of the NBA is. And that's why one of the reasons why the viewership is going down, because the players don't care. The Heat play hard, at least traditionally have. And so it would just be nice to have more talent to watch play that hard in Miami. So the reasons why Pat probably didn't make certain moves or whatever, he probably didn't like the personalities. And he just didn't want those people in his locker room. Probably. But I would just say that, of course, Gil represents the new wave of athlete, the new player empowerment type of people who want things their way and they want it now. Ice cream for breakfast. And Pat is saying, nah, you're eating broccoli and you're eating Brussels sprouts. And if you want to call this house a prison, so be it. We're going to the playoffs again with a roster that doesn't look like it should. So, but Pat does need to make moves though. But what are your thoughts on Gilbert saying that Sir Pat Riley is running a prison down on South Beach and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Suggesting that I don't think anyone's going to associate anything like that with the Heat. But that's the thing, is the presence of order and structure and rules.
Mm-hmm.
at this point automatically by default means prison for some people. and Gilbert Arenas, yeah, he's one of those guys who's always going to be, in his eyes, players can always do no wrong and management can do no right. A guy can make $300 million a year, and Gilbert Arenas will still get on this podcast saying that the player's underpaid. Like, that's the kind of person Gilbert Arenas is. All pro player all the time, all anti-management all the time. You know, you can give a player all of the amenities in the world, let them play a schedule that they want to play, and give them a super max contract, you know, that's 100% guaranteed with a no trade clause. And they don't have to ever play back-to-backs and don't ever have to play road games. And Gilbert Arenas will still say that they're not being treated good, that they're not being treated well enough. So he's just ultimate pro player guy. He's ultimate pro player guy. So I can understand him being ultimate pro player guy. I get why he would say such a thing, but I, of course, don't agree with that. I think most players in the league would love to play down here. It just has to be for the right price. Guys don't want to play for free. And Pat Riley, why would Jimmy Butler be Heat culture? He just got here like 4 years ago. Like, Pat Riley is Heat culture. He's been the constant.
Right.
So anyone who asserts that there's a misconception as to what Heat culture is because it's actually Pat Riley and that's the problem, I would say you're right, but that isn't the problem. That's actually the solution. Because one thing you can say about Jimmy Butler, he's not won a championship, and Miami Heat as an organization have won 3 championships and have been to the finals 2 more times after that. So there's a history and a track record of postseason success that Jimmy Butler as an individual player hasn't enjoyed as much of up until he got here. He wasn't really going deep into the playoffs with Chicago. He wasn't really going deep into the playoffs with Minnesota, and he went deep into the playoffs once with Philadelphia, and all 3 of those instances, it ended with him being upset and mad and being cancerous. So he's the common denominator in terms of the fact that he has been involved in situations that ended poorly throughout his career. And it appears as though this is going to be yet another entry into the book of Jimmy Butler being upset and demanding out. And he's the common denominator in that. That's not Pat Riley's fault. Like, the Heat, quote unquote, being run like a prison is independent of the fact that Jimmy Butler seems to run hot with every team he ever plays for. There seems to be an expiration date. And I don't think that's Pat Riley's fault. That's a Jimmy Butler issue. That's not a Miami Heat issue. Furthermore, I will also say I hear where you're coming from with the way that the Miami Heat as an organization throughout the vast majority of my lifetime has been run outside of the Shaq, D Wade, and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh years. Everything that I just said is not necessarily to defend Heat culture, because I personally believe Heat culture is the worst thing that could have ever happened to the Miami Heat organization. I think Heat culture came from mediocre rosters overachieving. That's where this mantra of Heat culture came from. And a lot of that ammunition came out of the Heat getting into the Heat making it to the finals in 2020, and the Heat making it to the finals again in 2022 or 23, whenever that was. We went against Denver. Those rosters were below average, in my opinion. They were mediocre,
very much.
But the Heat were able to take advantage of, in my opinion, a few lucky breaks. The Celtics short-circuited. I can't explain that. Giannis going down with an injury in the opening round, the first round. And then, 2020, honestly, I look at 2020 as a weird year. I personally don't even count. I don't really count anything that happened in sports in 2020 personally. I just don't. I'll look at it as a weird outlier of a year. That bubble to me was weird. Half the teams didn't go. The other half, of the teams that did go, half of that were teams that weren't competing for playoff spots, but still wanted to get more burn. So they reported. And then when you eliminate important variables like home court advantage and crowd and travel, I just kind of throw 2020 out the window personally. And that's one of the years where the Heat went to the championship. So I'll bring all that up to say that, 2020 and I think 2022 are years, not 2022, 23 are years that are cited as evidence of the emergence of Heat culture. Look at what we can do so long as we coach up, bring guys up from the G League and draft right. We can get to the finals. Well, you're using 2 years of lucky breaks as your example of why Heat culture is a thing. Ordinarily, that's not going to work. So you're operating off this idea that you can just coach up and bring guys out of the G League and put championship rosters together. And it's a fallacy of a belief. It doesn't really exist. So I hate Heat culture. I don't like it. You have to make big splashes, and you do have to try and be viable in free agency and on the trade market. You can't just think that you can do G League and draft guys and think that that's going to be enough. Like in today's NBA, you have to be viable in free agency and on the trade market. So from that standpoint, Pat Riley shares some of the blame in terms of the Heat as an organization not being as successful as they could have been in recent memory. Here is where I will say, though, that he is not the problem when it comes to the Jimmy Butler situation. I've been watching this team my whole life. I live in Miami. I watch every Miami Heat game that comes on television. 82 games a year, I watch this team. I have been watching every single game since Jimmy Butler got on the team. And I have watched Jimmy Butler sort of gradually, over time, flagrantly, obviously deprioritize the regular season. I've watched him do it. That's not Pat Riley's fault. Pat Riley didn't do that. That's not Pat Riley's fault. They went to the finals those 2 years with Jimmy Butler as the best player, and Jimmy Butler said, I'm playoff Jimmy. I can turn it on in the postseason and otherwise coast and deprioritize the regular season. Once we get to the playoffs, I'll turn it on and we'll get to the finals again. He did that. Pat Riley didn't do that. And the reason why that has been a problem is because when you deprioritize the regular season like that, you're losing games you shouldn't lose because you really aren't putting forth maximum effort. You end up a play-in team or a team that's a lower seed when you could have played a little harder, tried a little more, played in this game throughout the season that you otherwise sat in. Maybe you get a higher seed and you have home court advantage and you have a more favorable matchup and you do get to the finals at that point. Maybe if you put forth better effort, you have a higher seed, you're playing a different opponent, and now you don't land on Giannis's foot and mess your ankle up, and now you're done for the rest of the playoffs. Or whoever we played when Jimmy got hurt last year. Because I think the Knicks is who we lost to in the second round. But whoever we played in that first round, I think was it the Pacers? Whoever it was in that first round when Jimmy got hurt. Maybe we don't have the same matchup. You don't hurt yourself, and we progress further because you're available. I believe in the butterfly effect. Who knows what would have happened throughout the course of that first round if we had a different seed and a different matchup. But you completely deprioritize the regular season because you think you're Jimmy Butler playoff Jimmy, which is reinforced by the fallacy of Heat culture. And you find yourself a 7 or 8 seed or a play-in team. You got to play against the Hawks in the play-in first. Then you get into the playoffs and you get hurt. Pat Riley is not to blame for that, in my opinion. So I just don't buy the idea that Pat Riley did not give Jimmy Butler a contract extension. And he went into the press, the post conference, and he said, if you don't play in the games, shut up. Pat Riley did do that. But why should that alienate Jimmy Butler? Bro, you didn't play in the games because you were hurt.
Yeah, so you need to shut up.
Yes. and in my opinion, I think that if it was a different seed and a different matchup, maybe you don't get hurt. And the reason why we didn't have a different seed and a different matchup is because we weren't a higher seed, because we lost way more games than we should have during the regular season, in part because you, as the galvanizing force on the team, deprioritized the regular season. Pat Riley sees this. That is the reason why he was like, we're not going to extend you unless you're playing. He sees you. If I, a fan, someone watching on TV, can see you deprioritizing the regular season, I'm pretty sure the president and GM of the team can see it too. So I don't really blame Pat for that. I blame Jimmy for that. And if right now the situation seems untenable and looks like he needs to be traded, so be it. There is an expiration date in every situation that he's been in throughout his career, and this is just the next chapter in the book of Jimmy Butler being a Cancer. It sucks that it ended this way, but I do not place all of the blame for that on Pat. Maybe some of it, but not all of that. The way that it has soured, in my opinion, is mostly Jimmy's fault. And where I will place the blame on Pat at Pat's feet is the way he runs the organization, thinking that you can just G League it up and draft it up and think you can get to the finals every year. And one area in which I will side with Jimmy is if Jimmy was insisting to the front office that they make moves and the front office was ignoring his request for them to be more active in free agency and on the trading block because the Heat think that they can just Heat culture it up, then yeah. Pat, you did fumble that bag for sure. Because get out of this Heat culture stuff, bro. Make splashes, get trades, and get good free agents. Like, stop thinking that you can just do this in the perpetuity with these Duncan Robinsons and Jaime and Hayward Highsmiths and think that you can get to the finals off that. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. But with everything else, with Jimmy and his attitude and deprioritizing the regular season, that is on Jimmy. Jimmy deprioritizing the regular season does not mean South Beach and the Heat are being run like a prison. He should have put forth more effort during the regular season.
I mean, and I'll say this: as far as Heat culture goes, I'm not a fan of what it turned into. I was a fan of it initially. Because before it was called Heat culture, there was something in the back of my mind to say, hey, man, we just do things different over here. And I like it. And because I saw the rest of the league become what the league is now, and we didn't do that. We still play like an old school brand of basketball, even though it's modern with threes and stuff. We still play a tough form of basketball that the rest of the league wasn't. And I was like, man, I don't care. And so then it became commercialized. Once we made it to the finals when we shouldn't have, and through the channels that you mentioned, a lot of it was luck of the draw. People getting hurt. Certain this and that happened, and we just making it through. And on top of that, we're playing a league. We're playing against guys that ain't built like that, while we're still playing like a hard-nosed kind of basketball. And so we would beat teams that on paper, because some teams we beat it when they were healthy enough, still talent-wise better than us. I can name some of those Celtics teams, they were still better than us, but on paper. But when it came to scheme and just playing tough and just having mental resiliency, we were just better. And so we would beat teams because of that. So I was in favor of that hard-nosed type of basketball, which the rest of the league doesn't seem to have anymore. And by going through our fire a lot, the Celtics got better. And they're a resilient team now. Jalen and Tatum, just that whole thing. And when they got Holiday that pushed them over, and then White, like they play, they can get tough if they need to. So I say that to say is that I like what Heat culture was initially before it was called Heat culture.
Right, before it became a slogan.
Yeah, and when it became a slogan, now y'all wearing it on your jerseys, now y'all got it on the court. It's like, hey, man, this is, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And because the culture part about it was that it wasn't commercial.
Yeah.
And now you're selling this thing as it's a thing. And I don't care for that. So I agree with that. But much like how Ohio State fans, they win 10, 11 games every season. They whoop everybody's ass. But if they lose against Michigan, it's a problem, which it is. I'm not saying it's not. but they want to fire Ryan Day immediately. You know, hey man, they win all these games, and they won all these games. They want to win national championships too, and I get that. But as soon as Ryan Day loses a game, it's a problem. Now I don't know if Ryan Day sucks or not. I don't know if he's a product of Ohio State, but you know, you don't win 10 games every season because you suck. And my thing is who are you going to bring in? And who's going to replace this guy? Because the next guy y'all might turn into a Mississippi State. So y'all better be lucky. Yeah, y'all better be just, you know, count your whatevers and just, you know, one in the hand's worth two in the bush type of thing. And, you know, just hope that y'all can get over the hump, but at least y'all are very competitive. And my thing is that I don't really care for this Iron Fist. My brother he doesn't hate Pat Riley, but he's been scoring this man for years, wanting him to, because he doesn't make moves in off season. He's just tired of them. And I'm like, hey, look, man, what's the other option? Who are we going to bring in here? Unless there's some guy in the shadows that we don't know that's being groomed that has the mindset. Unless Spo goes into the office, you know, and have somebody else coach, because so Spo can carry on the tradition. I don't know who the hell else we're gonna bring in there, but we might just turn into the rest of the NBA once Pat gone. And that's my thing. I say, hey, look, I'd rather take this than what the rest of the NBA is going through. So yeah, it kind of sucks on one hand, but it's kind of like, what's the other, you know, option here? So I agree with everything you say, especially the part where, you know what I'm saying, you know, playoff Jimmy and all this other stuff. Like he that's all him, man. Ain't nobody tell you to be in some cowboy video, you know what I'm saying? You know, dressing all sassy and stuff and doing sassy. Nobody's telling you to do this. You know what I'm saying? But here he goes out here, you know, nobody's telling you to come to these press conferences like this, you know. And so this guy, somewhere down the line, he started really feeling himself a little too much. Is the guy good? Is he effective when he's committed? Yes. But at the same time, I didn't care for the on-off switch, because to me, that's not what we do here. So yeah, man, I don't think I don't think Pat so much is running a prison. I don't think it's too strict. I feel like the rest of the league got too laxed. So somebody like Pat stands out like a sore thumb. But yeah, man, I'll take the good with the bad for what Heat culture has turned into, because I don't know what the flip side of that looks like once Pat is gone. We might turn into, you know what I'm saying, the damn Pelicans. And Lord knows I don't want to see that. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I place most of this. I blame most of this on Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Pat Riley said. See, people take issue with the fact that Pat Riley was like, "If you're not on the court, shut up," and they felt as though Pat Riley was sunning Jimmy Butler and being disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is that was said in response to the fact that my personal belief is that was said in response to what he's seen, which is the same thing I've seen, which is throughout the regular season, Jimmy Butler does not really maximize on the team's opportunities to win games enough. That's where that came from. And he doesn't. You know, the first couple of years, I felt like he was all in.
Mm-hmm.
Once we went to the finals in 2020, it seems like after that,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Butler became this playoff Jimmy guy,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I'm a playoff performer. and in doing so, he just, I'm not going to say he completely stopped caring, but I'm watching. I watch every game.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear to me that he deprioritizes the regular season.
100%. To the point, and also to the point where he started just getting these injuries all the goddamn time.
Yeah, and he would do this thing where he's like not really trying to assert himself offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone asks him why his approach to the game is like that, his excuse is, I'm trying to get other guys up. Who, Jimmy? What other guys? Like everyone's playing their role, bro, except you. How much more up can you make Duncan Robinson?
Oh Lord.
He's a 3-point shooter.
Oh my goodness.
He's a 3-point shooter and otherwise a defensive liability. What more up can you make him? If he's open, it's going to go in, bro. Good job. How about you play your role? So that's what I think Pat was responding to, but no one's talking about that. They're just talking about Pat's delivery with what he said, let alone whether what he said had merit or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't really look at Pat as the main problem here. I look at Jimmy as the main problem, in my opinion. And the only place that I will, like I said, come to Jimmy's defense, Jimmy knows the level player he is. Jimmy knows that he's not a Giannis, Kevin Durant type. He's not there, right? So he knows that. So if he behind the scenes was politicking with the front office, let's make this trade, let's do this, let's do that with this free agent, blah, 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 to make the roster better, and he was being ignored, then that's on the organization. I'm gonna rock with Jimmy on that, because the Heat's history has been, we're gonna G League it and we're gonna draft it. And anyone who wants to be here, it's a privilege to be here. So we don't need to be all thirsty trying to get free agents. That's how Pat's rock like that.
I'm sure Jimmy said something about that. But still, it still doesn't give me an ultimate. I don't give it an ultimate pass. Just go out there and play basketball.
Exactly. And I don't give it an ultimate pass, because look at what happened. We wouldn't be. You're saying that because they ignored you, that's why we were a play-in team. That's not why the Heat were a play-in team. The Heat were a play-in team, in my opinion, largely because you took a whole bunch of games off in the regular season.
Yep.
Whether you were physically on the court or not, because you can be in the game and still be taking the game off.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Yes,
I've seen it too many times.
Yes, I'm watching every game and seeing this guy not really look like he cares.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't I don't think Pat was the biggest issue. And it was against the Sixers when Jimmy hurt his ankle last year in the playoffs. So Jimmy hurt his ankle, and then that was all she wrote. It was over with after that. Right, yeah. So April 17, 2024. So yeah, that was last year's playoffs. So go figure, man. I mean, yeah, I don't really think it's all on Pat. I think Pat has some blame to share in this, but I'm looking at Jimmy for the most part.
Yeah, hey man, I'm with that, bro. So I mean, I'll be interested to hear, anybody in the comment section that's interested in what Gil had to say in the standpoint where he feels as though Pat is running, the Heat organization with an iron fist. Me personally, I don't think so. Doesn't sound like JV Wentz thinks that way either. So I'd be interested to hear what y'all say, man, because and what y'all think about Heat culture and all this, Jimmy and all that there. But me personally, man, I've had enough of Jimmy. I appreciated the runs that we had, but at this point, he's overstayed his welcome.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? It just went a little sour for whatever reason. And so I'm not mad that he's on the outs. So I think everybody will be happy about this. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you can blame Pat Riley all you want. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Chicago. It got bad. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Minnesota. It got bad. Jimmy Butler wanted out of Philadelphia. He got bad. 3 different organizations. And in all 3 instances, Jimmy Butler became a malcontent. There's a common denominator there with Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. That to me is not on Pat. Mm-hmm. That's not on Pat. And yeah, we were in the play-in and he messed his ankle up. We were against Philly. We won the game, and then we beat the Bulls. And then after that, we played the Celtics and lost. That was what happened there. And who knows what would have happened if he would have been healthy, number one. And I don't know. I just believe in unseen energy and unseen forces, butterfly effect type stuff. Mm-hmm. I really do think that different circumstances yield different outcomes. If we're playing a different team, if we're playing at home, maybe he doesn't get hurt. And we're playing a different team and we're playing at home if we have a higher seed. And we have a higher seed if he doesn't deprioritize the regular season as much. That's just how I look at that. So shouts out to my Miami Heat. I am loyal to the Heat. I'm not loyal to Jimmy Butler or Pat Riley. I am loyal to the betterment of the Miami Heat organization. Jimmy Butler can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. All I care about is for the Heat to be successful. And we do need to get off this Heat culture stuff because it's a substantiation for putting together mediocre rosters.
I agree. Oh, my goodness.
All right, folks, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and close things out. Another great Conscious Approach episode in the books. I am JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Shouts out to everybody tuning in on the live stream, and shouts out to everybody tuning in on the individual video uploads. We certainly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any of our other uploads. We certainly appreciate it. Again, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Amazon Podcasts. So if you're in the car, you're at the gym, or if you are otherwise not really in a position to check us out on YouTube, watch the video, put the headphones in, listen to the podcast. We are right there as well. Leave a rating. Let us know what you think. Because we here, man. We certainly appreciate it. And we thank everybody else who has subscribed to the channel and shown love and support. We wouldn't be here without you in our little corner of the internet as we continue to carve out the community. And we'll continue to kick this logic. So thank you very much. Presently, thank you very much for those who have done so in the past. Thank you very much for those in advance who will follow along with us. As I like to always say, have a mind for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Don't be a conformist. Looking forward to the future. Another great episode in the books. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Hey, yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, hell, any damn social media platform, Dogon_SS. You're gonna find your boy. Go ahead, hit the subscribe, follow, or whatever it is, them there. And as I say on every podcast, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it pure. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, including those people out there that's trying to make fake news on you. Until the next time, everybody, more rings to Robert Ory. We'll catch y'all on the next episode.
That's right. We are out. We'll holla. Peace. Bro, I can't believe one time I actually said that Jimmy Butler is the second greatest Miami Heat of all time.
You said that.
I said that.
on here.
I completely took that back. I was wrong. I take that back. I was wrong. That is incorrect. In fact, that is fake news. That's fake news.
There you go, right there. The second best one, Tim, right there.
Yeah. It's either Tim or Zoe. It's either gonna be Tim or Zoe. It's gotta be Tim or Zoe. But we out. We'll holla. Peace.
Peace. Go Kings. Hell yeah. Yeah, you